All right, everyone, welcome to the Tiny 10 remix right here on RGLTV. I am your host for today's festivities. I am Enemy, and we have got a great lineup of a dozen awesome Game Boy players coming together to play 10 of the favorites, or perhaps arguably 10 of the best games from the previous 6 Tiny 10 races. If you're unfamiliar with the Tiny 10 race, it is 10 games chosen from the Game Boy library, raced all in a row back to back, and with more of a focus on completing full game goals. That's not always true for all of the Tiny 10 races, but today we are beating all these games with one minor exception, and that is we're just beating hard mode for Kirby's Star Stacker. But for the rest of the games, start to finish, you theoretically get to see credits, although our racers are going to be running really fast between games, so you won't actually get to see credits until Super Mario Land 2. You see 4 of our racers up there live right now. Gran and Hero, our favorite today. I believe he has the lowest PB time recorded at around a 2:20. Putting in that work and getting the results. We have the founder of the feast himself, Mo, up in your top right corner there. The man who puts together all of the Tiny 10 races and gave the blessing to RGLTV to put this one together. And we appreciate him for that. Infinite Mystery, my partner in crime, helping to put this list together for today's race. And of course, one of the stalwarts in the Game Boy community in your bottom left, E Bloody Candy, a big, big fan of Trip World. He loves this game, Trip World, so we'll be starting off with one of his favorites. We will be getting going here in just a moment for you all, getting this race started. Looks like everyone is ready to go in our race channel. Just need to do a couple of final cleanup things, and then we will be good to go for the Tiny 10 remix right here on RGLTV. All right, and we have our 10-second countdown coming up. I believe we actually have a baker's dozen of racers here today as we get the green flag dropping, and we are underway here on the Tiny 10 remix right here on RGLTV. Of course, Twitch is Twitch, so there will be a little bit of a delay to see all of our folks get going. But you get to see this awesome opening sequence here on Trip World. What a great game. This is sort of like if you've ever heard of Mr. Gimmick for the NES or the Famicom. This is sort of a light version of that game. And this kicks us off in what is really considered our Kirby block. We have Trip World starting us off, a game very similar to Kirby. There you see EBC going into flight form, as all of our competitors will do here on this first stage. You have 3 forms available to you. You can press up B to go into flight form. You start in neutral form, where you just run around and kick, do all that good stuff. And then you can, if you're in the water, go into fish form. If you go into fish form when you're not in water, you just flop around like an idiot. You don't want to do that in the speedrun. Everyone is off to a pretty standard start here. Not a whole lot going on in stage 1. The main thing that players will have to avoid is bumping into any enemies or any walls. When you lose forward momentum in flight form, you just stop completely. You can't. You have to land and have a nice wide berth to get your momentum going again. Otherwise, you just will not pick up air, and you will just sit there and look foolish. But so far, that has not been an issue for anyone yet, it doesn't seem. Ibisui doing very well to avoid that flying enemy. Oh, Granin takes a hit from him, though. And you see right there, just goes straight down to the ground. But recovers nicely. EBC is onto our first boss. Grandmaster Chop Chop. There are actual names for these bosses. I should really know them. I love this game a lot, but I have not bothered to learn. The fake names are more fun anyway. There he goes, EBC making quick work of our first boss. Granin as well. We're keeping it close here in the early goings. Infinite Mystery now on our first boss. Puts him down. Mo following short behind. Several power-ups exist in this game, and you see our racers grabbing their first one in the marathon. Getting that bouncing ball, that's going to allow them to travel significantly faster. And it's going to allow them to incorporate some pretty scary strats. We'll see who chooses to do that. Going right past this mini-boss here. Big the Cat. And Grand Hero is keeping that pace with EBC. EBC's going to let the ball run out, and he's going to take it safe. Under this spike pit, you can actually bounce through this spike pit, even with the very low overhead there. Very dangerous. If you do take a hit from a spike, while in ball form, you instantly die. Very scary strat. And our players are wise to choose to avoid it this time. And boy, EBC and Grandin are just in lockstep with one another right now. Very early on here in the Tiny 10 Remix, but they are both on the Baconator. You can get a quick kill on him, but it looks like it's not happening this time for either one of our top two right now. You just got to get in there and kick him. And unfortunately, when he chooses to go into Bacon form, you're out of luck. But EBC puts him down, and Grandin puts him down as well. Grandin getting on to World 3, a little bit ahead of EBC. Our first official lead change of the race. Both Mo and I am on the Baconator, on the right side of your screen. And there we see fish form from both Grandin and E-Bloody Candy. Really the only way to travel when you're in water. You can use other forms, but it's incredibly slow. Both Grandin and EBC may be setting up for the clip that's coming up here on this next mini-boss. We'll see what happens. Allows you to skip a good portion of this stage. We'll see if that works out for them. Oh, EBC is setting it up. He's going to carry the clam over. And now what he's got to do is get hit in that little crawl space. There it is, and there we see the clip, the zip, and he doesn't slip as he's moving his way on to the very end of this stage, and he's going to jump out to a sizable lead over Grandin Hero in the early goings, getting right to that Stage 3 boss. Just like that. Just what an expert job by EBC to make that happen. And Grandin, using discretion as the better part of valor, not going for that clip. It is a tricky clip. And you see him now having to fly over this very windy section. You can get pushed back very easily if you're not mashing. And he is onto the boss of Stage 3. I am taking a death to the clam. And Mo picking up that health, making his way on to the boss himself. So Hero now closing out World 3, but it is EBC who is showing how it's done here in the early goings for Trip World. Our first game in the Tiny 10 Remix. I hope you all are enjoying that top 5 Sunsoft soundtrack as well. Just a great soundtrack for this game. One of the finest from a team known for making amazing music. So now EBC has grabbed the tail, and that is going to allow him to destroy the Sweet Cup and Cakes very easily. But did you know that power-ups stack in this game? It's true. And with this pickup here, EBC goes from Tail to Mewtwo. Yes, that's right. Now he is a Super Saiyan, and he can destroy this upcoming boss in just one hit. Believe it or not, one hit is all it's going to take. There it goes. I have no idea how that fight goes if you don't have the power-up. Who would ever want to know that when you know you can just defeat it in one hit? Beautiful. Grandin following pretty close behind. He's about to get his Mewtwo power-up as well. There it is. Mo making his way through World 3. And I am still trying to get out of World 2 here. Dealing with this climb into the wind. It's deceptively difficult to make it through this windy section. If you are not mashing for just a moment, you will get not only knocked down, but pushed back basically across the entire screen because you really can't build up the momentum to start flying again. Grandin puts down the World 4 boss with that Mewtwo power. And then we see EBC switching over to flight form to rise out of that water very quickly. Can't really control yourself under there when you're in water while in flight form, but you can rise very quickly. And EBC now gonna go bypass the safety there, not farm any lives. He knows what he's doing in this game. He says, safety, who needs it? He's gonna go up over this engine block and make his way to what is going to be the final boss rush of this game. Only 5 worlds here in Trip World. That's it. It's a very short game. So here we go. So Form 1, we got Lolo and Lala, or whatever their approximations are in this game. All you have to do is avoid their kicks and kick them. So far, so good for EBC. Granin making his way up the engine blocks. So he's following pretty closely behind. Now we're fighting Evil Pikachu. So at first, Evil Pikachu starts off pretty simple. Then he starts dashing all around. Then he throws out a Scorpion, come here. And EBC says, none of this is any concern to me, takes no damage, leaves the full health refill behind, and he is on to the final boss. And he should be putting this one away very shortly, folks. All he has to do here is not jump too high. You jump too high, you get shot down by the boss. You also have to avoid, there you see, the Foot of Doom. But he's doing it really well. Takes 2 hits, no problem, the screen is flashing, that is it. And he's going to be switching over to our next game. Meanwhile, Granin dealing with the Evil Pikachu takes 2 hits after getting the health. So now he's in a bit of a spot for our final form boss. And Mo creeping up behind him now. If Mo can avoid taking damage here, he might be in good shape. He might be able to sneak ahead of Granin. Takes 1 hit from Lolo and Lala. Shouldn't be too bad. That's pretty standard. Meanwhile, EBC on to the next game in our quote-unquote Kirby block, Avenging Spirit, where you play as the deceased boyfriend of a kidnapped girlfriend, but your spirit is enabled to take over other bodies in an effort to save your girlfriend. Her father has created a contraption that allows you to do that, so off you go to rescue her, except none of our players will be rescuing her because that is the good ending, and ain't nobody got time for that. We're on that bad ending stuff, because that is faster. But the parallels to Kirby are pretty obvious here. Taking the different human forms with different powers. Primarily, we're going to be using this fellow with the bombs, and then later on, we'll be using a guy with a gun. We'll talk about that when we get there. So Granin gets through. He is in Avenging Spirit, just a little bit behind EBC at this point. Meanwhile, Mo taking on the boss rush for a second time. Evil Pikachu giving him the business. Well, there you see that Scorpion Spear. Mo grabbing the health, takes a hit there for his efforts. You gotta kick him pretty late when he's retrieving the Scorpion Spear to get through. Granin now shuts down the first boss. EBC being smart here, playing it safe, and not doing the speed strat here that can very easily lead to death. Instead, he's going to take his human form over to this edge here, and then switch back to his ghost form. Every time you're in ghost form in this game, you are constantly losing health. And there's a speed strat that allows you to switch into ghost form much earlier, and it can save you a lot of time, but it can very easily lead to your death. EBC says, you know what, let's not throw good time after bad. Let's play this the safe way and make sure we get through, and it's working out for him pretty well so far. Granin doing the same, taking plenty of health over to the Bomb Man, and getting the health refill as well. Not really necessary at that part. It's very difficult to take too much damage to die here, but, you know, sometimes you just want to be confident that there's nothing that can go wrong. EBC having a bit of a time getting the hits in on this second boss, but gets it done. He'll be moving on to stage 3, Granin following closely behind, and you see Granin with the efficiency of his attacks getting much more damage per cycle, and that's going to keep him in pretty tight pace with EBC, as our top 2 are gunning for World 3 here in Avenging Spirit. Meanwhile, Mo getting to the first boss of Avenging Spirit, and Infinite Mystery down to 1 life, taking on our boss rush. So Granin actually went a little bit higher than he needed to there to go through that false wall. There are 2 false walls that he could go through, and he chose the higher of the 2. That's going to cost him just a moment or 2. Actually, EBC find himself in a little bit of trouble with the the white ninja fella the soldier ninja. I'm not really sure. Throws ninja stars, but definitely looks more like an army man to my eyes. And that's going to let Hero get to the boss first. And we'll see who can have a more efficient fight here. We have two different attack patterns here. Granin staying right in front of the snake. EBC choosing to stay underneath, which in theory is the faster pattern, but it is Granin Hero who puts him down first. And this lead is swung back to Granin Hero. Coming out of stage 3 here. And now the game starts to really pick up in terms of what it throws at you. This baseball guy straight away being very nasty to Granin. EBC dealing with him a little bit more savvy. There is a health pickup up here. You got to be careful to grab it before Ninja Star Man hits you. Granin is able to do that. Now EBC having a little bit of a time with our Army Ninja. But he's through. He gets the little energy pickup. You do have 2 life bars here. Your life is how much time you have on the character that you are currently inhabiting, and your E, your energy, is how much your ghost has. So you see here now, Granin switching into ghost form, going through a false wall here. Takes a little bit extra damage for the section that is not a false wall, but then once he hits the false wall, his energy depletion starts to level out and slow down. There we see the the ghost boss strat of ducking to shoot faster. It allows you to mash much more quickly with our character known as Contra Man or Contra Guy. Although I do point out that there's very few usages of laser in the Contra games, so I don't know about calling him Contra Guy. But that is what the community has decided, and who am I to deny them? So here on stage 5, we have a bit of a maze that we have to deal with. And oh boy, so EBC is in a pickle here. He's going to take the death here. You really want to stick with your Contra Guy throughout this stage. Just no other character really has the firepower that you need to not only get through the stage, but to put away the boss in a timely fashion. So EBC says, you know what, we're just going to play this smart here, come back, get a full health refill, and start over. Because he could go looking for another character, lose some health along the way, and then still end up dying, and then he's just lost even more time. Meanwhile, Granin, his health is looking especially good right now. It's full and full on both of his bars. Has to wait for this platform to spawn here. The platforms last for a very short amount of time, so he can't dawdle. But he's fine. You actually have a significantly larger jump than you might think in this game. Very floaty. A blessing and a curse, depending on the situation. So EBC now, he has his health in a good position. He needs to make sure he doesn't catch the ire of this gunman. Oh boy, he takes a hit, but he gets through. Now all he has to do is kill this gun guy, and then the little Yoshi-looking character down here. He's going to be able to get a health refill, so EBC is in pretty good shape here. Meanwhile, Granin on the last screen before the boss, here on stage 5. 6 stages in this one, so we are nearing the end. So you see EBC. No, EBC is going to have to wait for that next platform to cycle in. And you see Granin fighting this snake boss. There is some manipulation that you can do for him. But it looks like Granin just went in there and said, guns loose, let's go. And now it's on to stage 6, our final stage here. In Avenging Spirit. EBC will be joining Granin here just shortly. This stage is quite a bit easier than the previous stage. Far less of a maze quality. You just have to know which enemies to grab. Now we see Rave Tuba joining the fray. He is just about to close out Avenging Spirit here, so it looks like Rave Tuba is actually our leader at the time. There we see him using his Contra Guy, shooting downwards, getting those extra hits in. And this should be it right here. And Rave Tuba now, the first to clear game number 2, Avenging Spirits, and he will be going on to the final game of the Kirby block, Kirby Star Stacker. Now we are playing on hard mode here, and starting on round 1, everything is good on Rave screen. Meanwhile, Granin coming up to that final boss. Oh, and he's got himself in a little bit of a bad position. You want to duck underneath that mid-platform there in case the missiles start flying. They will block the missiles. Granin recovers. He does have pretty good health here. Meanwhile, EBC making his way to the final boss, dealing with a couple of these mechs. Just trying to be careful with his health. And Granin puts away the final boss, and we'll be moving on to Kirby Star Stacker as well. Mo taking on the Snake boss of Stage 5. So he's getting near the end of of Avenging Spirit as well. And EBC now should be switching over to Ghost Form any minute, going up to Contra Guy and closing this one out. His energy is very low, so it may be dicey whether or not he can make it. Oh, and it's going to be close! Not quite! And now EBC is going to have to do all of Stage 6 over again. That is a bitter pill to swallow. For what was a pretty solid run overall, minus that death on Stage 5, but now, ooh, having to play Stage 6 over again is very obnoxious. So EBC is going to be rushing as fast as he can back through this one. And that's going to put Mo in front of EBC ever so slightly at this point. Meanwhile, we see Hero and Rave Tuba both rushing through Kirby Star Stacker. Now, interesting aspect of this game is, as you see Rave Tuba starting on Stage 4, the game tells you every 4 levels where to place your first 2 pieces in order to get a full stage clear. It's a very, very nice element to this game. But we are clearing 16 stages here, which means they will get 4 free stages, and the rest they got to figure out on their own. The first piece of every stage, I believe, is set in stone, and then after that, it's random, depending on probably how quickly you get your piece laid down, if I had to guess. But I don't know that for certain. Alright, so there we see both EBC and Mo pretty much in lockstep. Oh, but EBC's going out of his way to get a little bit extra energy, so that's going to put Mo in a position to maintain a lead over EBC. But now Mo has to jump out of the way of that mechanical arm from the boss. Oh, boy. And Mo is playing this dangerously right now, staying inside of the boss. Oh, and he takes a death! He charged ahead full steam. But unfortunately, those dangerous strats did not pay off for him. And now EBC, we see, gets to the final boss, but not with the Contra Guy, instead with the Black Magician. He can pretty much use the same strats, but does less damage for each attack. So it's going to take him a little bit longer, but he is alive here, so he should be able to close this one out. He has the safe strats going, stays away from that arm. Oh, gets to hit a little bit anyway. It looks like EBC is going to be able to put this one down. Just has to play a little bit careful there. So you see both Granin Hero and Rave Tuba on Kirby Star Stacker. The object is to clear the number of stars that are listed on the screen for each stage. And to do that, you have a couple different options. Obviously, you can just connect 2 of the like animals in between. Oh, EBC takes the game over! Oh my goodness, on the final boss. So now he's got a slow character, and he's got to go back through Stage 6. And my goodness, this is not going the way EBC would like here in the early goings. And Mo is back to our final boss of Avenging Spirit. Getting right up in his grill again. Just says, you know what, it may not have worked last time, but it can darn sure work this time. Oh, and he takes the hit against so Mo also back to the start of Stage 6 here in Avenging Spirit. Meanwhile, Granin Hero and Rave Tuba are crushing their way through some stars here. So as I was saying, in Kirby Star Stacker, you can connect 2 or more like animals in a row, either horizontally or vertically. The stars in between them will count towards your star goal, but a more efficient way of handling it is to create chains where you will get free stars that fall. So our players will be balancing those 2 techniques, and all in an effort to clear this game as quickly as possible. And what is our final game in our quote-unquote Kirby block? Oh, man, EBC taking that hit again, so he's got to take the Black Magician one more time through the final stage, get that health refill. I mean, he's got this. He's got this. Mo taking the death again, though, on that final boss, and he'll be starting over stage 6. The EBC's just got to bide his time here. At this point, time has already been lost. Now it's just about not losing significantly more time. And I mean, you know, he's gonna take a little bit longer to beat this boss, but boy, you know, he can't afford to really take a death at this point. That's just a little bit too costly. EBC, his health is pretty much even with the bosses. He can take 2 more hits here, I believe, before death. Oh boy, there's one! He's got to get out of the center there! Oh my goodness! Oh! And he clutches it out with 1 health left! Holy cow! He is just barely able to move on. Oh, and Mo gets so close, gets him down to 1 health, but also takes the death there. And Mo has gotta be just going crazy right now. And that is Avenging Spirits for you guys. It's such a tough game. When things start going wrong, it goes wrong very quickly. Oh, there we go, Mo again. And Mo's just having a time of it right now, and you just feel for him. It's very easy to get caught in that death loop, and he's got the Black Magician to boot. Meanwhile, EBC making his way through stage 4 here of Kirby Star Stacker, Grand and Hero on stage 10, and Rave Tuba closing out stage 12. So he'll have just the final 4 stages left to go. Holding on to that lead right now in the early goings is Rave Tuba. Very nice showing for him. Alright, Mo's picking up that health. And at this point, he's got to be like, you know what? This boss is going down, and he's going down hard. I'm sick of this nonsense. There we go. Okay, Mo's keeping his distance now, getting those quick shots in by ducking. Mo's being super aggressive throughout this. Oh, and I believe he got the kill right as we switched over there. And it looks like we may have either double Rave Tubas up or someone's really in sync. It looks like Mo just was able to pull that out at the last moment. Congrats to Mo. Finally getting rid of that nonsense of a final stage. we see Bald Nate joining the party. He is on stage 14 of Kirby Star Stacker, so keeping in pretty close locks. Oh, never mind. I fooled myself. We already went over this. That's the double feature. We'll get Bald Nate's feet up in just a moment here. EBC on stage 7. Granny Hero just about to close out stage 11. Looks like he's getting a little up there, but don't worry. It's very easy to recover in this game, so he should be just fine. Of course, we do have 3 different types of animal friends that we are using to clear out these stars in this game. We have Rick the hamster, we have Koo the owl, and we have Kine the fish. As EBC would say, know the lore. Alright, so there you see switched over is Bald Nate starting on stage 10 here of Kirby Star Stacker. Going to stage 16. As you can see, makes Rave Tuba just about ready to close this one out. You see getting those stars stacked up, dropping down for free as he's chained a few different clears together. Always an ideal scenario in this game, get a few extra stars for just one drop. Very nice. Grannon getting that 3rd time out. Now starting on the final 4 stages for him. EBC on stage 9, just closely behind Bald Nate on stage 10. And Rave Tuba is going to be heading on to the final stage, which is entirely free. The game tells you what to do on stage 16, as it does on stage 4, 8, and 12. Every 4 stages. It says, hey, buddy, how would you like to win this stage immediately? And we say yes, because it's a lot faster and a lot easier than doing anything else. And there we go, Rave Tuba clearing stage 15, which means he is all but done with Kirby Star Stacker. Just needs to drop that first piece in right there, and he can set the controller down, get a drink, make a sandwich, hit the restroom, whatever he's got to do. He's got about 20 seconds until he is done with this game and moving on. There we go, the clear is done. And now we are on to our Disney block for Rave Tuba, starting off with the Little Mermaid, a game that is much better on the Game Boy than it is on the NES. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school here. The movement is so much nicer, particularly when you go diagonally in this game. You keep going at a high rate of speed. Very nice. Although it looks like Rave Tuba is not using the dash button right now. You do hold down B here, you will go a bit faster. One wonders if he knows about that. I once played Marble Madness with a buddy of mine for 24 hours, and it took him about 8 hours to figure out that there was a dash button in that game. So, you never know. This game's significantly shorter than 24 hours of Marble Madness, so, you know, he may not have discovered that one yet. So if you are just joining us, we are starting Game 4 for Rave Tuba, our leader right now, with the Little Mermaid. Granny Hero closely behind stage 14 of Kirby Star Stacker, our 3rd game in the race today. Bald Nate and EBC following close behind Granny Hero and Kirby Star Stacker as well. But Rave Tuba now pacing the pack, as we are on to stage 2 here in the Little Mermaid. Yeah, it looks to me like maybe Rave Tuba just does not know about that dash button. Or perhaps had a bad experience with it at one time and said, you know what, we're just going to play it safe and go through without running into any nasty enemies. You never can tell some people's motivation. But you can't argue with it either, because Rave is doing some work right now, folks. Pacing the pack, showing everyone what's up. just another one of the ways where Game Boy Little Mermaid is so much nicer than NES Little Mermaid. For this boss fight on the NES version, these eels are just real suckers, man. They get you to shoot, and then they're like, nope, see you later, going back in my hole, and then you miss, and then it takes longer, and it's a real pain in the booty. For this game, they hang out. They say, you know what, we're just going to hang out here. You go ahead and hit me whenever you feel like it, it's fine. You really have to be very careful to not get all of your shots in whenever you like on this version's fight. And that makes it easy work for RaveTuba. It takes one hit there, but no big deal. The important thing for RaveTuba and all of our competitors today is to not die in The Little Mermaid. There's a pickup that you get at the beginning of the game that allows you to only use one bubble to encase the enemies rather than having to use the standard 2. And if you die, you lose that. So that's a pretty significant hurdle that you have to overcome. And I believe there's not another one of those red pearls or red gems or whatever it is, until stage 4, which means you're going basically through, or depending on where you may theoretically die, going through quite a bit of the game without with having to hit enemies twice, which is a real bummer. You really want to avoid that if you can. And Grandin's coming up to that point where he's going to be getting that pickup right now as he's starting The Little Mermaid. So he is done with Kirby Star Stacker. Bald Nate should be closely behind here on stage 15. A few more stars yet to get. And EBC joined him on stage 15 as well. Got a nice race for third place going right now. So in this fight, as you see RaveTuba doing there, you can actually manipulate the RNG from the walrus to give you a greater chance of getting these shells. You have to get 4 hits on the boss, and wow, excellent job from RaveTuba there. Oh, he goes to high point the jug, but doesn't quite get it. Meanwhile, Hero done with stage 1. He's going to be on to stage 2 with the sunken ship, dealing with that eel fight, which again, significantly easier here in the Game Boy version. That walrus in the NES version, though, boy, no RNG manipulation, you just have to hope for the best. And he does not necessarily like to give you that good pattern, I can tell you. But no problem for RaveTuba here, as he is on stage 4. Has to deal with these shrimps. Their movement is a little bit erratic. But does not need to go out of his way to get that red gem pearl. Maintained it throughout. I love that Rave is just meandering along. Not rushing. Doesn't need to rush. Everything's good. Just keep a nice, healthy pace. Just keep on moving. Keep on swimming. Keep on swimming. Just keep swimming. Disney references. And he's going to make his way on to the conductor. Both EBC and Bald Nate finishing up Star Stacker, heading on to the Little Mermaid. And there you see the speed difference. Nate, Hero, and EBC all using that dash, but it doesn't matter because Rave just moving along, relaxed, ready to go. And through the horrifying maze right there. Oh my goodness, did you see how difficult that was? It's actually slightly more challenging than the NES version to go through this maze, but only slightly. In the NES version, you just go through the same door 3 times in a row and then you're out of the maze. So here you actually have to move a little bit. So Nate puts down our shark friend. EBC looking to do the same here. And now Gran and Hero taking on the walrus. And now it's on to first form Ursula for Rave Tuba, who is just no dashing necessary for Rave Tuba. Making his way through this game, did not hold down the B button once, just attacking when he needs to, shooting the fish up at the bosses, and making quick work of the Little Mermaid here. And you can't help but wonder what his time would be if he was using that dash throughout. Here we go, on to the final form of Ursula, who is not quite as showy in this version of the game. But it doesn't matter, because we won't be seeing her for very long anyway. She spawns the fish, changes the current, and Rave Tuba says, I don't care, I'm going to grab these fish anyway, and make quick work of the final boss. And there she goes. So now we're on to Tailspin, OEO Tailspin, which is pretty much a pared down port of the NES version. Fewer stages, definitely less aggressive enemies. Although, to play this blind, you can definitely get snapped by the enemies here and there. But one of the cool things about this game, you know, it is a shmup, so you're dealing with auto-scrolling, but you can actually change the direction of both your plane and the scroll at certain points in the game. So we see Rave Tuba switching back and forth. By holding up and down, you can angle your plane upwards or downwards slightly. That's a nice little trick to clear out some of the enemies. Rave also not using the dash button in this game, although that may be because it doesn't exist, but it's a bold strategy, and we'll see if it plays out for him. Granite Hero now onto the final stage. EBC looks like he is on stage 3. Nate is just about to finish stage 3, putting the walrus away. There it goes. Rave Tuba being very careful to stay back on the far left of the screen here to avoid those seaplanes that come up from out of the water. Now right here, we have one of our many difficult boss fights here in Tailspin. Oh my goodness, he had to sit there and shoot at it. My god, can you even imagine? Yeah, the boss fights in this game are actually very simple. There's one boss fight that requires some manipulation to get a good pattern on to make him significantly easier. So we'll see whether or not Rave is familiar with that manipulation. If not, has to do a little bit of dodging. Other than that, though, the bosses are pretty much get up in their grill, shoot their grill, then they don't have a grill anymore, and you win. There's a little bit of a story that you saw Rave go into there. He picked up the double shot. Later on, he will be upgrading again, most likely, to the unlimited shot. Of course, you don't want too many shots on the screen. You don't want to kill too many enemies. It does create slowdown. But it is much nicer than having just the single shot that you have on screen when you start off the game. Meanwhile, Granite Hero about to put Ursula away for good, and he'll be joining Rave Tuba on Tailspin as well. Bald Nate starting stage 4. It looks like EBC may have taken a death on stage 4 there. This is a stage where you can get... Or he may have... No, it looks like he's good to go. May have just had a little bit of an issue with the Walrus boss slowing him down. But he did not get the attack pickup, so that leads me to believe he did not die. Alternately, he does not know about it. So Granite Hero has actually got the world record in Tailspin during the Tiny 10 Remix practices. So shoutouts to him for that. What a great accomplishment. Previously held by the great Tailspin Whisperer Zyman. But yeah, just a time of 8:35, if I'm not completely mistaken. Surpassing greats like Zyman and the Game Boy Whisperer Ataraz. So amazing job from Granite Hero to snatch this world record. And just shows a little bit higher caliber of play throughout this game, as you'll see. Rave Tuba now dealing with the Stage 2 boss in a little bit more of a casual way, trying to avoid these shots. Grandin may have a few different ideas in mind, but RaveTuber gets through the boss without too much of an issue, does not die. It does not eat that time loss. You go back to the previous checkpoint when you die in this game. You do not start right on the boss. But Grandin Hero is setting himself up for a perfect stage, and what that's going to allow him to do is to get the ultra shot, the multi-shot on screen immediately after this stage. That's going to save him some time and allow him to clear out some enemies a little bit easier than RaveTube is dealing with right now. Still doesn't... looks like he still has the double shot. I'm not sure if he was able to upgrade after Stage 2. Sometimes it's difficult to have the money after Stage 2 if you're not getting perfect clears, which he did not get to this point. But there we see that perfect bonus, 100,000. You need 200,000 to get the double shot. Or no, 200,000 to get the multi-shot. 100,000 to get the double shot. So Grandin Hero goes right to that multi-shot, the super power-up of the game. And that's really all he needs to do. Now he can avoid going to the shop entirely. He can just skip right out of it once that pops up after every stage. You know, he may choose to buy an extra life if something goes really sideways for him, but probably won't need to do that. As you can see, he's just positioning himself in the lower right-hand corner of Stage 2 here and firing those shots. That way they don't stay on screen as often. That way he can clear out enemies and clear out his shots very quickly. Avoid that lag. Very smart strategies from our world record holder right here. Of course, the unfortunate thing for Hero, while he has world record in this game, it being an auto-scroller, there's only so much time he can make up in it. As long as RaveTuber can maintain a deathless run-through of this game, he's not going to see too terribly much time. It looks like RaveTuber might have picked up the wrong item there, although he may have gotten the extra health just for safety. But he has left the multi-shot on the table in the shop, so interesting there. He is on the second to last stage here, so there's still time to get it if he chooses to. But for right now, that is still in the shop. EBC now making his way out of Little Mermaid onto Tailspin. Bald Nate making his way through the first stage of Tailspin. And there you see Grandin Hero getting right up in the grill of the boss, as we talked about. Down goes Stage 2 boss. And there goes our purchasing screen as well. Grandin is wasting no time here, folks. Having himself a heck of a run through a game you'd expect him to have a great run through. Nate going down and getting that double shot. Meanwhile, EBC making his way down through this opening section of Tailspin. So here we go, RaveTuber taking on the twin pilots. When they are separated, you cannot damage them. When they are together, you want to go all in. Mash as fast as you can. Oh, and right now, as you can see, not the manipulation we're looking for here, as they are just staying separated. There we go, we get the double shot. And there, oh, down it goes. So I only had one extra hit there. Very well done from Rave. A little bit of slowness in the middle there, as they played unkindly. But he's moving on to our final stage. And yeah, it looks like he is chosen, not made a mistake, but chosen to bypass the multi-shot in favor of the double shot. So that way he can get that extra health. I just feel a little bit more safe in what he's doing. The double shot does feel pretty reliable for killing bosses and enemies, so not a huge difference there. But a difference, all the same. Hero getting the health upgrade as well, as a matter of safety. Looks like we have switched over to Huxley's feed in your bottom left there, as T is closing out Ursula and joining us here on Tailspin. Excuse me. But right now it's RetroGamingLiveTV who is getting very close to this final boss, which is not much of a boss. Giant airship. Have to shoot a couple propellers, and then you're done. And RetroGamingLiveTV now putting down the final boss, making his way on to our martial arts block, starting us off with Kung Fu Master. Of course, a series near and dear to my heart. There's Huxley getting going in Tailspin. Looks like he just took a quick respite. A lot of games here today, folks. Ball to make his way through stage 3. Grand Hero getting that manipulation on our twins. Should be seeing them come back together here, and that should be it. What a fast fight from Grand Hero, my goodness. That's the difference between the manipulation and just doing it on a wing and a prayer. Really well done by Hero there. And that's going to definitely save him some time, allow him to catch up to RetroGamingLiveTV, but RetroGamingLiveTV done with stage 1 of Kung Fu Master. The fists and the feet are flying here. We will see how he handles these bosses. There's certain bosses in this game that are a little bit nastier than others. And the stage 2 boss, if you don't get him locked up, that he can definitely put a hurting on you very quickly. Of course, it'll be interesting to see Huxley get to Kung Fu Master. He as well grabbed himself a world record through Tiny 10 practice and claimed the Kung Fu Master world record, so it'll be a real treat to see him plow through that game when he gets there. But right now, dealing with some Tailspin, taking in a death there right in the early goings, but we'll get back to it. And right there he is, Barrel Man, putting that barrel right to the face of RetroGamingLiveTV. And that's going to be a death. Goes back to the previous checkpoint. Now Grand Hero in a position where he could creep back up on RetroGamingLiveTV. We'll see what happens here. RetroGamingLiveTV using a simple strat of using sweeps. If you cannot get him stun locked, then you can still get killed, but unfortunately for RetroGamingLiveTV there, able to get the stun lock, the Barrel Man goes down, and we are on to stage 3. Perhaps the nastiest boss in the game, the Flamethrower. Very, very high damage from this boss. And Grand Hero is done with Tailspin, moving on to the martial arts block, moving on to Kung Fu Master. So now, 2 stages behind RetroGamingLiveTV. If he can avoid some deaths here, he may be able to sneak his way closer and closer to RetroGamingLiveTV. Oh, and Bald Nate taking a death there. He's got plenty of lives, though. No big deal. Oh, and RetroGamingLiveTV making short work of the Flamethrower. You're all going to see that and think I'm a fool for saying he's a difficult boss, but I tell you, if he gets a hit on you, it's pretty much over and out. But instead, it's over and out for the boss as RetroGamingLiveTV makes quick work of him. Now we're on to stage 4. Awesome job from RetroGamingLiveTV. Meanwhile, Hero making quick work of our Chainsaw Man in stage 1. And there's Nate putting down the twins, and he'll be moving on to the final stage of Tailspin. Huxley, meanwhile, making his way through stage 2 here. And RetroGamingLiveTV just crushing the boss. Gran in no trouble with the barrel boss. He's getting back into it, but RetroGamingLiveTV on the second to last stage here. pair of easy bosses this stage and the one preceding it. We'll just have to jump after them. Of course, for Granin, he's got the flamethrower coming up here. See how that goes for him. As long as he can avoid that damage, he should be in good shape. He's going to kite the flamethrower over. He's not attacked yet, and that's going to put him in a perfect position to get the stun lock. And Granin Hero making it look easy as well. It's a great job from our top two to put away a nasty boss. Meanwhile, RaveTuba puts down the stage 5 boss, I believe, and on to the final mission. That feeling when you don't remember how many stages are in the game. But yes, we are on to our final mission here. RaveTuba will probably be picking up a bomb here that allows you to do a little bit of continuous damage to the boss if you choose to use it. Really want to avoid the drop kick here, of course. My pro wrestling peoples know that the drop kick is the ultimate weapon in the universe. That is undisputed. That's why so many people use dropkick as their finisher. But man, RaveTuba just gets right up in the final boss's grill, punches him down, and that is it. And now we are on to maybe the scariest game in the race, which you may not think by looking at it. It's got a very chibi appearance to it, but let me tell you, Kid Nicky is no joke. Can I interest you in one-hit KOs? Because Kid Nicky's got him in spades. Everything kills you in one hit in this game. So those runners who are doing this blind are in for, let's call it a treat. But right now, RaveTuba, it looks like he's put in his time and has this one down pretty well because he is just marching through this stage. Wasting no time, jumping over the bonus stage, so you know he's feeling confident. The safety strat for this game, folks, is to get those bonus stages and get a pretty easy one-up every time. But RaveTuba says, no safety here, folks. Let's go. Grand Hero as well, putting down the stage 5 boss now. Very wise to get the boss over to the right side of the screen, although it's gone off the screen here. And I don't know if Granin's able to still attack this boss. Uh-oh, we may have a situation. There it goes. All right, off the screen, doesn't matter. Just punch a wall for a while and everything will work out. Granin Hero's going on to the final stage. Meanwhile, RaveTuba closing out stage 1, 2. You're coming up to a boss. You have 3 stages per world. You know they're called stages. The third part of a stage, let's call it, you fight a boss. And not just the boss hitboxes, but the boss hitboxes especially are really special in this game. So our players need to be very aware of how to deal with the bosses. Again, if you're familiar with the game, not quite as bad, can sometimes get the best of you. Oh, as we see right there for Rave, does not quite get that second hit in, but no problem. Manages to avoid taking any hits there. Jumps up and grabs the scroll as it's spawning, and that'll save him a few seconds. And Granin Hero now done with Kung Fu. Join in RaveTuba on Kid Nicky. We'll see how this goes for him. Our front runners are pretty much staying in pace with one another. I'm sure Granin made up just a little bit of time there by virtue of not taking a death on either Tailspin, well, having a manipulation on Tailspin, and then not taking a death to the barrel boss in Kung Fu Master. And then, once again, you see the fire in the eyes of Granin. Even if you can't see his eyes, you can tell he's got this one down pretty well. Just marching through. Avoids the bonus stage right there. That's how you can tell. If people are avoiding the bonus stage, you know that they got their stuff together with this game. RaveTuba now making his way through stage 2, and you see Granin Hero. I can't help but laugh when I see the moving platforms in this game. Not only do they have some pretty interesting sync to the different platforms over a pit section, but sometimes the game likes to checkpoint you on a moving platform, so you immediately spawn, and then you're thinking, okay, I gotta get moving right away, and you walk off the moving platform like a dummy. So, been there, done that. So just kind of fun to see other people dealing with the platforms, but no issue with the checkpoints there for Granin, as he is through to stage 1-3. And Rave Tuba now going on to the boss stage here in stage 2. Coming up with the 2-3 here. Ariel in the top right of your screen, getting ready to close out Tailspin. Huxley now on the twins in Tailspin. And just that quickly for Ariel. Done with the final boss of Tailspin. Granin Hero getting a bonus game there. That's because he beat the boss of stage 1. Unavoidable bonus game at the end of a stage. Meanwhile, RaveTube is going to have one himself come up here in just a moment because he's fighting the 2-3 boss. There he goes. Just got to wait for him to swoop and stun him up. Nicely done from Rave. Huxley putting down the twins. And Ariel now on to Kung Fu Master. And right there you see Ariel getting the bad pattern, that the chainsaw coming right out in the midsection. Can't really do anything to avoid that, so he waits and gets through no problem. And now we're starting to see Hero being pretty discerning in his movement through stage 2 here. Very smart strategy. If you're not 100% sure about exactly what to do, where the enemies are going to spawn, whether or not you're going to hit them, very wise to just play it a little bit slower, because deaths in this game are very costly. Not only do you lose time going back to the previous checkpoint, but you only have a limited number of continues in this game. Now, I don't think that's going to be a problem for our front runners here, our blind racers, and those who have only kind of beat around the bush to prepare for this one may be having some trouble when they get to this game. Maybe actually seeing some full game overs when all is said and done, but we hope that doesn't happen. But for Granin, he's playing it smart, playing it wise, avoiding those bonus games. Definitely knows his stuff. Just being a little bit cautious as well. A smart strategy for this game, of all games in this Tiny 10 remix, in my opinion. We see the introduction of the box beavers. I always thought they were tanuki. Someone told me they were called box beavers. So take your pick. But yeah, nothing like spawning enemies from blocks that you open up. Oh, and RaveTuba mistimed the snakes. You get 2 shots from those 2-headed snakes. Looks like he thought that both had happened. Jumped up after the first one. The second one was waiting there for him. Not a bad checkpoint for RaveTuba there. As he is maintaining his lead. Of course, RaveTuba, one of the great members of the Game Boy community. Really, all of these folks have embraced the Game Boy community, but RaveTuba, a longtime member of the community, participated in previous Tiny 10 events. He's acquitting himself very nicely here, as we are through half of the games already. We're actually on Game 7 now, believe it or not. Just that quickly. The speed with which both he and Granin Hero have attacked these games is really impressive. Oh, and right there you see that the attack just did not come out in time. RaveTuba getting backed up a little bit, and now you start to see why the safe strat is to get those bonus games and get the extra lives, because now with RaveTuba down to 1 life, he can only die this last time. I believe you do get 0 lives in this game, although sometimes I remember things incorrectly. But he is on to the boss here. Bit of an easy boss. You gotta wait for him to land on the ground and then hit him in the head. It's pretty much the standard strat for the bosses. Their hitboxes in their head. If you jump up to hit them, that's usually pretty effective. Has a great strategy to clear out all the little enemies that this boss shoots at you. Very well done from Rave there. He's gonna be looking to get at least a 1-up here. The 1-up is free to get. You can get a 2-up, but you actually have to try for it, and who cares about that, right? Take the easy 1-up. Which he does not get. He actually gets the 10 coin. selection, which means his mash was just a little bit off right there. But he is on to the final stage, so if he does take a game over, he will start on whichever sub-stage he was on, not just the start of 4-1, which is a nice little piece of this. Meanwhile, we have Huxley on stage 3 of the game, in which he holds world record, Kung Fu Master. We'd be remiss not to point that one out to you guys, as Ariel is coming up to the final boss in that game. And Huxley, like so many before him, making quick work of the flamethrower, making it look so easy. I'm here to tell you, he can get the better of you very easily. RaveTuber rolling with 1 life. Could have got that bonus game, chooses not to. The confidence is there, folks. You love to see that. Whether or not it gets the better of him remains to be seen. How racers recover when mistakes happen is such a big part in the story of their success in races like this. It's, everyone's going to have a mistake throughout the race. No one has a perfect race start to finish. But whether or not you let it get to you and start to snowball into more mistakes, or whether or not you let it exist in a vacuum only, that really tells the tale about how well you do in these races. And right now, a couple of minor setbacks to RaveTuber, but he is plowing forward, looking very confident. As is Grandin Hero, just about a stage behind at this point. But, oh! And no sooner do I say that he's not lacking for confidence does he run into the, let's call it a hermit crab. We all know what it looks like, though. We have eyes. Now it is the final piece of the puzzle for RaveTuber. The final bit of Kid Nicky, and then a nice sigh of relief. We will see how this boss fight goes. There's a giant mouse that shoots little enemies out at you. You can avoid it with a stun lock, and it looks like RaveTuber has done that! And he is done with arguably the most difficult game in this race, folks. Believe it or not. Kid Nicky may have been it. Which is a really odd thing to say as we get going in a Ninja Gaiden game. But boy, Ninja Gaiden Shadow. It is time, folks. A great soundtrack and a great game overall. Let me see. Dog Developer joining the party here on Kung Fu Master. Meanwhile, Huxley looking to close out the final stage of Kung Fu Master. Put his stamp on his game. And then we see the bomb. And just using those punches. No drop kicks for that final boss. Huxley is on to Kid Nicky now. Meanwhile, Dog Developer making his way through Kung Fu Master. Grandin Hero on stage 4. He'll be done with Kid Nicky before too long. Has plenty of lives. And RaveTuber. Oh, and you can see right there, RaveTuber bypassing some of the pickups. And that's the first indication that he knows his way around this game just a little bit. Now take him to our first boss. So what he wants to do here, you see him using that Ninpo. What he wants to do is get the boss to drop straight down, put some hits on him, and avoid when he does not drop straight down, which can be difficult to do. So his hitbox is quite large and can get the better of you even if you jump out of the way. So hanging on with that 1 health, see if RaveTuber can clutch this one out. Oh, there's the big jump! Avoids it though. Couple more hits. Has no more Ninpo. You only have 1 Art of the Ninja in this game, and that is the Art of the Fire Wheel. That is your only magic attack. Oh, and he gets the long jump. You're going to have to start over before this boss fight. You do start right from this boss fight. It's not always true throughout the game. And the final boss, you do not start right at the final boss. Oh, and Dog Developer eating the barrel from Barrel Man. Meanwhile, Huxley making his way through 1-2 here, the Kid Nicky. As Grandin Hero is on 4-2, looking to close this one out before too long. Took a death along the way, but no worse for wear. Now we see Sprinting Legs joining the party. The bottom left corner, working on the Little Mermaid. Looks like just about to close out second form Ursula. Be moving on to Tailspin shortly thereafter. And round 1 clear for Rave Tuba. Grand Hero dealing with those rotating platforms, difficult at times, and grabbing that bonus stage. So Granin says, you know what, we're close to the end, but I did lose a life, so let's get that one back, be safe, and close this one out without too much of a struggle. A wise strategy, I believe. If you think you need a life in Kid Nicky, probably a good idea to get a life in Kid Nicky. Meanwhile, Rave 2 making his way through stage 2. I'm really impressed with the strats that he's using so far. Very reminiscent of top runners here, which may seem obvious, but it is still a Ninja Gaiden game. And while it is quite a bit easier than the NES games, you can still find yourself dead if you're not paying attention. It's very easy to get caught up in the, well, I should get all of the pickups loop. That's what separates the top runners from the weekend warriors, I suppose. And there goes Grandin Hero putting down the final boss of Kid Nicky. Now he'll be joining Rave Tuba on Ninja Gaiden Shadow as well. On a list of great games, this may be one of the greatest. I'm often surprised how wonderful the lineup of games is on the Game Boy. I definitely had a Game Boy growing up, and I had a handful of games that I really enjoyed playing. But there's a lot that I missed. And for an event like this, and all of the Tiny Tens, really it's about the other Tiny Tens. To find those games for the first time is really a wonderful thing. Anytime you can come across games that have existed for most of your life that you didn't know about, I think that's always a really great day. So it's been a treat to put on an event like this, and hopefully expose some more folks to some of these awesome Game Boy games. And again, massive praise to the GB Runners community, all of the Game Boy folks who play these games regularly, who know about them, and try to educate the community about these awesome games. Thank you all so much. So Grandin Hero taking on Stage 1 boss as Rave Tuba is on the Stage 2 boss. Rave Tuba using a little bit of an alternate strat here, not standing right in front of Duke Nukem. Looks like trying to avoid little Igor buddy, who will slow down your movement, but not to a great degree. Doesn't matter though, Rave Tuba makes quick work of Duke Nukem, and he's on to Stage 3. Meanwhile, Grandin Hero done with Stage 1. Just a stage separating our top 2 runners right now, folks. Rave Tuba and Grandin Hero. Sprinting Legs making his way through Stage 1 at Tailspin. Had a death a little bit earlier. Shoutouts to Sprinting Legs for their participation in this race. Excuse me, I was told to pronounce his name as Blegs. For reasons I can't get into in polite company. But Blegs here is doing the bonus game, which obviously you want to avoid in most cases. I guess you get a little bit more money for your efforts here, but it is slower. But Blegs just started playing these games this week, the week of the race. So to see him going through and getting the job done is always a treat, I think. Dog Developer now on the final boss of Kung Fu. Ooh! Gets that drop kick right in the mush. And that's going to be a continue for him. You get 5 continues in Kung Fu, just like in Kid Nicky, but Kung Fu Master quite a bit easier than Kid Nicky. Onto the moving platforms for Rave Tuba. And you see there the undergrab that you can do on the platforms in this game. You also have a bionic arm, very much like in Bionic Commando. It's actually a grappling hook. But it functions similarly to Bionic Commando. You can go straight up, you can't swing back and forth. It's a fun little addition. Fun fact about this game, this is actually not a Tecmo built game. You'll see Tecmo on the title screen, or before the title screen, I guess. But this game was actually developed by Natsume, which you can probably tell by a few different key items. A lot of the music, when not taken directly from either Ninja Gaiden 3 or Ninja Gaiden 2, sounds very much like some of the Natsume NES games. Shatterhand, Shadow of the Ninja, Dragon Warrior, or not Dragon Warrior, Dragon Fighter. There's so many Dragon games on the NES. But also, if you've ever played Shatterhand, you know that the first stage boss looks a lot like M. Bison. Oh, RaveTuber getting the one up! That is Fool's Gold. He's gonna get smashed here. Oh, he makes it though! Oh, he pulls it out at the last second. Manages not to take the hit from the Smasher and leads right into our boss, M. Bison. What's he doing here? He's come over from 2 games, Shatterhand, and of course, some fighting game that I don't remember the name of. I want to say Fighting Streets? I don't know. Gran and Hero putting down the Stage 2 boss. Old Duke Nukem. He's dead forever, hopefully. Meanwhile, Sprinting Legs going for another bonus game. And it's fun to see the alternate strats that some people will employ when they're maybe not as well versed in the speed tech of a game, or not as comfortable with the speed tech. Say, hey, let's get a bonus game, get our money up that way, and then the way I can go buy all the stuff I need. Don't necessarily need to get perfect rounds as a result. More than one way to skin a cat, folks. Although I don't know why you'd skin a cat. That seems pretty ruthless when you think about it. So there we see the grappling hook getting put to good use here by RaveTuber, as he has to make his way up this climbing section to avoid the fire. Most of the time he's able to just straight jump, but at the beginning here, he is going to be using his grappling hook. See if he gets either of these pickups. He's got an Impo over here on the left. He's got a 1-up if he wants it. He does not want it. He'll be on to the second to last boss in the game, who is something out of Dragon Ball Z, I think. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z other than it's called Dragon Ball Z. So, you know, fill in your own character name here. So RaveTuber dealing with this boss very well. Duck the initial fan throw, jump over the rebound. Use an Ninpo if you have it when he's in the air. And it's over and out. RaveTuber now onto our final stage. Granite Hero following as closely behind as he can. Trying to keep that pace. Try and pick up whatever time you can. So far, so good for RaveTuba. Had that one death on the first stage boss, but aside from that, it's been pretty smooth sailing for him. So here we are in the dark section for Granite Hero. Those lasers are coming. He says, you know what? I got full health. Let's take the hit here. Who cares? No big deal there. Manages to get past the top laser. Easy. Making it look very easy. Oh, now on the first screen of the last stage, RaveTuba in a bit of a spot here. Oh, and the spaceship spawns right on top of his head. Can't avoid that, folks. When it's time to spawn on you, the game wins. If he had been just a little bit faster, he could have gotten past it, but you know, with that positioning, there it was. Gets to wear a spaceship hat. Not what he was looking for. Dog Developer being very precise in his jumping here. He's at the point here on stage 2-3 where the clouds are lies, and he can just fall through them at different times. And the nasty thing, it would be one thing for the platforms to be false platforms, but usually they give you some sort of visual indicator. Not so in Kid Nicky. You just fall through them at different points. It's a real bummer. So Dog Developer knows that. Again, another person who has just this week started learning these games. And he says, you know what? If I'm going to learn one thing, it's going to be Kid Nicky. A wise decision if ever I've heard one. I can tell you that. And manages to not fall through that cloud. Very good for him. Digging the color scheme on his feet as well. Granite Hero now on our second to last boss, who is from a property I've never heard of, and I therefore have no idea whether or not it's from that property or not. RaveTuba now being very cautious with these lasers. Can avoid all of them. Dog Developer getting that pickup for defeating the boss. Mandatory bonus game. And it's on to stage 5 for Granite Hero. But it is RaveTuba now making the final ascent up to our last boss here in Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Oh, many lasers to avoid in this section, but a lot of pickups to get as well. RaveTuba is going to have to alternate between standing on top of the platform, jumping over these lasers, and hanging underneath of the platform to avoid all of them. So far, so good for him. And he gets the full health refill. That is our last pickup. And now it is on to the final confrontation, where I will point out that RaveTuba has 0 lives. So a death here will put him back at the very start of this stage, yes. Normally you start at the auto-scrolling section, which is about halfway through the stage. There we go. Getting his hits in now. He's going to strike down 3 times, then he's going to start going back and forth with 5 lightning strikes. Easy to avoid all of them if you know what's happening. RaveTuba seems to. Now he's going to swoop down and start all over again. This is, of course, the first form for our final boss. There will be a second form. A little bit nastier to deal with, depending on the patterns that you get. So far, so good for RaveTuba. And meanwhile, Granite Hero making his way up the final ascension here. Be joining RaveTuba on this final boss fight. We'll see if they can end up on this boss fight at the same time. Not sure if that'll happen. RaveTuba, so far, so good. Should have one more volley of attacks to throw at the boss before he switches to Big Brother form. See what happens here. And there's the switch. All right, so with 1 health gone and 3 Ninpo left, RaveTube is in pretty good position here. Now what the boss is going to do is shoot out those attacks in front of him. The middle one will always go first, the bottom one second, the top one third. You really just have to duck and then jump. The top one is too high for you to hit unless you jump into it. Ooh, RaveTube taking a few hits here. Now, the boss is actually being pretty kind with his big jumps here. That allows you to have plenty of space to avoid the shots that the boss puts on screen. And RaveTuba has used all of his Ninpo, so he's in pretty good shape, doing plenty of damage. And there it is! RaveTuba closing out the boss just before Grand Hero makes his way to the boss. And now it is on to perhaps the greatest soundtrack of this list. It's Mega Man 2, aka Rockman World 2, for the Game Boy. Please turn your speakers up to full volume, and I will endeavor to say fewer words because I know everyone is excited about this lovely soundtrack. But a great job of RaveTuba to close out Ninja Gaiden Shadow. We'll see how Grand Hero does in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Getting those hits in. Once again, first form, 3 shots straight down. Oh, uses the Ninpo early. As long as he stays alive, that is a fine strategy to employ. If you can get the boss to go to second form earlier, that is going to be a nice little time save. And there it is, second form. Now all Hero's got to hope for is a decent pattern from the boss. So far so good. Able to get some hits in. The important thing is, if you do end up taking a hit from the boss, especially if you're close to the boss, that you only take 1 hit. That you recognize that you're taking a hit. Oh my goodness! Wow, Grand Hero just melted the final boss of Ninja Gaiden Shadow. No problem there. EBC now doing some work on the not necessarily from Dragon Ball Z boss. And it's M. Bison for Bald Nate in the upper right-hand corner joining us again on the stream. And now Grand Hero off to defeat Dr. Wowie in Mega Man 2. RaveTuba going to get to Metal Man first. Metal Man, the typical starter in this game for the speedrun. Can also start with Airman. The trick here with Metal Man is to be right up in his grill and just get as many shots in as quickly as you can. It looks like the bosses have iframes, but they really don't. If they do, they're pretty short. Someone in chat will correct me if I'm wrong, but you can pretty much just wail away on him. Now, RaveTube is picking his shots, but that seems to be working really well. He's taking no damage here. And there it goes. The only problem is he's been pushed to the far left of the screen, so he's got to walk very slowly to the middle because the treadmill status is still on, even though it does not appear to be moving. Down goes Bison for Bald Nate. EBC making his way through the final stage here. I believe the final stage. We're not completely out to lunch here. And Grand Hero dealing with these Mets. Getting the 1-up for his troubles. This game oftentimes does have a Mega Man 5 feel to it in terms of 1-up drops. If you're not familiar with what that means, it means that there's a ton of 1-up drops throughout this game. So from Metal Man, we go on to Woodman stage. Of course, there are only... it may sound weird to say. There are only 4 Robot Masters in the normal portion of the Robot Master section, but then you very quickly go on to the Wily stages, where it's really just 4 more Robot Masters. Of course, our Robot Masters in this game come from Mega Man's 2 and 3. So, for Mega Man 2, we have Metal Man, we have Woodman, we have Airman and Crash Man, and then we go to Magnet Man, Top Man, Hard Man, and of course, Needle Man. This is a very, very easy Mega Man game. Follow the boss weakness, win. The one exception would be, of course, Crash Man, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. Bald Nate making his way through the Dark Chamber. Has to dodge those laser shooters. And EBC making his way up the final ascension here in Ninja Gaiden Shadow. As Grand Hero puts down Metal Man. and gets the ultimate weapon in the universe, the Metal Blade. As we will see, put to very good use here by RaveTuba against Woodman. Does not even wait for the shield to go away, just gets right up in the face of Woodman, and RaveTuba says, "Down you go, buddy." And that is it. We're chopping those logs. And Woodman made like a tree and leaves the screen. I made that work. It's like, shit, I need to say left. It's okay. EBC now on our final boss in Ninja Gaiden Shadow. He knows what's up. He knows how to make his way through this one. Has himself a time on the leaderboard, so he's going to be able to close this one out without too much worry, I think. And there we see 1-800-R-Marine. The Rush Marine in full effect here in this game. You do have all of the Rush items from Mega Man 3 in this one. Rush Jet, Rush Marine, and of course Rush Coil. Bald Nate fighting that same boss that I'm not allowed to talk about anymore, apparently. Sorry, everyone. Now I don't need to talk about him, because he's dead. Easy. Nate making quick work of boss from something else. Meanwhile, RaveTuba going over the Lightning Lord clouds. Looking to blow into Airman's boss corridor. Make quick work of him. He does have his Leaf Shield. That is, of course, the weakness for Airman. And EBC now done with Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Putting away the boss. This Bald Nate is starting on the final stage. But it's on to Mega Man 2 for EBC. Metal Man to start. Standard. And it is on to Airman for Granin, having put down Woodman. Oh, he's got the glitch graphics. Makes the jump, though. It's very misleading. That platform does not extend as far as those graphics lead you to believe. But it's no problem for Granin Hero. RaveTuba picking up the air shooter and the rush jet as he's going to go on to Clashman stage. Excuse me, Clashman stage. Not Crashman, Clashman. And right away, switching that rush jet. Heavily used throughout this stage. Oh, RaveTuba making that deceptively difficult jump over the water there. It is not a difficult jump, really, but more than a few runners have run afoul of it in their day. We'll see with whether or not RaveTuba gets this E-Tank that's right on up this ladder, and yes, indeed, he goes for it. Very nice to have a handful of E-Tanks for Wily in this game. Wily does a lot of damage. Pretty easy to deal with in terms of how you have to damage him, but will take a few hits along the way. So in a marathon setting like this especially, nice to have that backup. Oh, so RaveTuba, okay, RaveTuba wisely switching back over to Buster here. You want to get at least one hit with Buster before you switch to your air shooter, because although in the NES version, the air shooter is a 2 to 3 shot weapon depending on which version of Mega Man 2 you're playing, in this game, you actually do not have enough air shooter to kill him with just air shooter. You have to do at least some damage with another weapon. But there you go. Brave Tuba able to get the job done. Had to use that E-Tank there. Clashman does not mess around. But it's a teleporting out of there, and we are on to the first of the Wily stages. There's actually 2 different Wily buildings in this game. Bald Nate now on our final boss of Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Our runners so far have had a really excellent time with him. They probably very wisely knew that this boss could be a real pain in the booty if you were not prepared. And they put that prep time in, and it is paying off for them in spades. EBC now fighting this dog mini-boss. Fun fact, that mini-boss and the cat mini-boss later on in Top Man stage, you can just run through them. You'll take a hit, but you don't have to stop and wait for them as you do in the NES version. So that's a nice little quirk in this game. And there we see Nate just wasting all of his Ninpo. I shouldn't say waste, because they were put to great effect, but just dumping on the final boss. And now it'll just be a few more hits from his sword, and he'll be joining everyone in the Mega Man 2 party. Right now, Rave Tuba, as he has been for most of this race, maintaining the lead, but oh my goodness, that magnet beam, or the magnet, I just guess magnet. The magnet pulls him in, and he goes down the pit. But gets the 1-up right back, and there you go. Mega Man takes and Mega Man gives. So there we see Nate starting off with Metal Man. Standard procedure. Grin and Hero done with his first 4 Robot Masters, getting the Clash Bomb, getting the Rush Coil. Time to get on to the Mega Man 3 bosses. Oh, and Rave Tuba says, you know what, let's get that E-Tank, let's get that health refill, let's get the item refill, let's get it all! And when you're in the lead, you can choose to make that decision. I mean, you can choose to make that decision anytime, but when you're, if you're the front runner, that's something that you're afforded the opportunity to do without too much of a penalty. And now he's in a pretty good position here. He's got himself an E-Tank, he's going to look to get a couple more before he gets to the Wily stages. And now he's going to use his Metal Blade to make quick work of Magnet Man. Nice thing is, of course, you can attack Magnet Man from underneath of him when he's up high, dropping those magnet missiles on everyone. And down he goes very easily for Rave Tuba. But as you see, he took a few hits there. If he'd not gotten that big health refill, would not have gone as easily for him. It's always nice to see a runner who has a really strong sense of how things are going to go for them, or how things might go for them, and can adjust accordingly. And Rave Tuba did so very well right there. Grand Hero now switching over to Rush Jet to get past these Yoku blocks. Blocks is maybe a stretch. These Yoku slivers. Oh, now Metal Man is looking a little worse for wear. Bald Nate gets him stuck on the treadmill. And that's it. EBC now. Blowing a few leaves Airman's way. And sending him out of here. Boy, it's been windy around here. Screw you, Airman. Nate now jumping into the fray. Putting his first Robot Master down. Grand Hero now on to Metal Man. Brave Tuba making his way through Hard Man stage. Quite quite a bit less slowdown in this version than in the NES version, even with the bees and the snippers and all of that stuff. Just a really remarkable job of programming in this game. Here, now getting started on Hardman stage. EBC going through Clashman stage. Bald Nate and Woodman. And Rave Tuba will be going on to Topman stage here in just a moment. As we are nearing the home stretch of the Tiny 10 remix, folks. Rave Tuba is your leader. Grand Hero following pretty closely behind. One stage separates them at this point. We are on our second to last game here. 8 down. 9th one coming at you. And just Super Mario Land 2 to go. Oh, and Nate using... He does not get the hits in. He was not quite close enough to get through the shield. That's okay. Puts down Woodman easily. All the same. Oh, now Rave Tuba trying to use the Rush Coil to get up and get that extra life. But does not quite have the positioning to do so. EBC now blowing through Clashman. And Hero makes Hardman look easy. He is pretty easy. Now do it. One more shot from a Buster for EBC. Down goes Clashman. No problem there. And Rave Tuba now getting ready to top this run off with a little bit of a hard knuckle. Oh, EBC had a really nice color scheme there for a second, but unfortunately he turned it off. That's a shame. One of the great joys of running Game Boy games on a Super Game Boy, or Super Game Boy 2 in this case, is that you can make the colors really speak to your audience. One last Mega Man 3 stage for Rave Tuba. Needleman stage. Of course, Grand Hero is holding pace, making his way through Top Man stage, second to last of the Mega Man 3 bosses. Bald Nate closing out Airman. Just Clashman left for him and the Mega Man 2 bosses. EBC on Magnet Man. So with Tailspin now, Grand Hero is going to be joining Rave Tuba, albeit briefly, on the final of the Mega Man 3 stages. That is Needleman stage. Oh! And maybe a little bit less briefly than I expected, because Rave Tuba takes that death right there from the needle that spawns from the ceiling. Plenty of lives left to go for Rave Tuba. He's taking some damage. Ooh, it takes a lot of damage going back through that section. And another death here. You never know what might happen as we approach our final game. But there's still a little bit of time left in this game, for sure. And the top spin is not a weapon you want to use if you are low on energy. That's for sure. So we'll see what RaveTuber chooses to do here. Uses an E-Tank, alright. A wise strategy, but that's going to leave him with only one E-Tank for Dr. Wily. Now that may be plenty for him. But Dr. Wily can do a lot of damage very quickly. So we'll see what happens. With all those lives he had, you wonder if maybe it would have been a wiser decision to just take a death immediately on Needleman and then refill that health, save that E-Tank for Dr. Wily, but we'll see what happens. And Grand Hero now on that hallway that gave RaveTuber so much trouble. Takes a few hits for his efforts. It looks like he's playing it safe here. He's gonna go out of this room with just about half health. Pretty good position to be in. And has 4 E-Tanks, so he is just stacking up those E-Tanks. 4 is the max you can have in this game. So he is all set and ready to go with that. Looks like he's gonna try to get an energy refill here for Rush Jet. We are gonna be using some Rush Jet for one of the forms of Wily. Did you guys like Quint? Because there was Quint. Quint with his pogo stick, the Sakugarne. It's a pogo stick. I don't know if that's Japanese for pogo stick, or if it's Japanese for MacGuffin, or what. But there it is. Now we got that. That was Quint, everyone. I hope you enjoyed seeing him. He doesn't last for very long. But someone made a fan game out of him, so he gets to live on forever! Here we are onto the one and only Wily stage. Real Wily stage. No Mega Man Robot Masters coming up here. Just gonna fight Wily. Apparently, whoever programmed this stage is a big fan of Dali, because, you know, there you go. The clocks. They are bending. Grand Hero now using the lesser of the two attacks for Quint. However, I don't know what his hard knuckle energy is at, and also, like, it's totally fine to just use this. It doesn't really matter. He had it selected already. What the heck? I love this Yoku block, as so many people have pointed out. That's PLD's favorite Yoku block in the game. That allows you to jump up and get that E-Tank. You don't need it, it's completely unnecessary, but it's there, which is nice. Oh, and the Mega Man 5 reference for Bald Nate. And of course, in this case, 5 is with a Roman numeral 5, not the standard 5, the Arabic 5. Fortunately, Rush Jet does have the same properties as in Mega Man 3, which means that if the players are jumping off of Rush Jet, it does not expend energy, which is very helpful, as we're going to see RaveTuber use Rush Jet here on the first form of the final boss. We are at Wily, folks. Let's see how this goes for RaveTuber. His health is a little bit low. Oh, he's actually switched off of Rush Jet, excuse me. He's going to be using just the Buster here. Absolutely something you can do. It will mean you have to do some more jumping, but he may feel a little bit more comfortable with addressing this fight without having an extra little bit of sprite on the screen, or without having to do the whole flying in front of Wily's face, which is what you can really do to save a little bit of heartbreak. But no problem there. Gets him down to the requisite health, and off goes Wily to Form 2. But we're going to see that pogo stick make a return. I believe. Now, the players have to be careful here. If you kill Wily too far to the right of the screen, you can soft lock the game here. In which case, you will have to password back to this Wily stage, which would be a very significant time loss. So RaveTuber, knowing he's doing pretty well for himself, says, you know what, let's stick a little bit further to the left, please, Dr. Wily. And now with No E-Tanks left. Ray's got to be careful here. Final form is pretty easy to dodge attacks from, but he still has to do it. The execution might be easy, but you still have to execute. And of course you see that Rave Tuba is using the Buster strats, as is Hero, who has joined the party on Wily. He is on Form 1, Rave Tuba is on Form 3. There goes Form 3 for Rave Tuba, and now it is on to our final game of the Tiny 10 Remix, Super Mario Land 2. Rave Tuba is first to Super Mario Land 2, but Gran and Hero, in a bit of a comeback, is very closely behind. Only 2 forms of Wily to go before he joins Super Mario Land 2. Turns on the Sakugarne, uses an energy tank, and he's going to be bouncing on Dr. Wily's head here. There you see again, playing it safe, not killing Wily too close to the right side of the screen. Ooh, and he's out of Sakugarne, so now he'll switch back to Buster. And use an E-Tank. He's got 1 left as well in reserve, so he should be good to go. Oh, no. Oh. Dr. Wily is very far to the right of the screen here. I don't know what's going to happen for Gran and Hero. Oh, and it looks like, yep, unfortunately, that was it, folks. So now he's got to password back in, and that's a massive time loss for Gran and Hero. He's going to have to do the entire Wily stage over again. That is an utter disaster for Hero. Through no real fault of his own. Just, that's how that fight works. Now he's got to go back and destroy Quint again. That's terrible. That really stinks. Such a close race that we had playing out, and then for the bad fortune to fall upon Hero is just a damn shame. There's really nothing else you can say about it. It's a damn tragedy. That is terrible for Hero. All shoutouts to him for jumping right back in and putting the password in, knowing what to do and dealing with it like a trooper. It'd be very easy to throw your hands up in the air at this point. But Hero's having none of that. He says, you know what? That may be it for first place, but I still have a shot to have a hell of a race here. And bless him for that. Because he is not wasting any time here. Wow. And you know, as we try to all recover from that really terrible turn of events for Gran and Hero, we do see Rave Tuba making his way through to get this first coin here in Super Mario Land 2. Going to the tree stage first. EBC now getting very close to Hero as a result of the misfortune that Hero faced. Making quick work of Quint. And we'll see if anyone else has to deal with that soft lock. That's such a shame. You know, to work so hard and to put the effort in and to have something like that befall you on race day. I mean, when you're doing such a great job for yourself. Well, we all know what an awesome job Hero has done. Even if the ultimate time does not bear that out for him. But a hell of a race from Hero. And a hell of a race still going on. And he can still do a great job in the remaining game that is left. But just Mega Man 2 being a real rude customer, unfortunately. But we are officially on our final game here, and the Tiny 10 Remix on RGLTV. It is Rave Tuba getting going in Super Mario Land 2, a game that he is quite familiar with. Meanwhile, Gran and Hero back to Form 1 of Wily, and your heart just goes out to him, folks. Give energy. That's all you can do at this point. Boy, I don't think anyone else deserves it more than Gran and Hero right now. EBC getting that screen wrap. Using the strats. And he is making his way through this final stage. He's about to encounter Wily himself. And there we go. Hero getting the job done. Really, 1 2/3 times. And now he's making his way into Super Mario Land 2, but Rave Tuba has himself a comfortable lead as he's getting ready to go to outer space. And EBC will be joining them shortly on a game he absolutely adores. And there we see those Rush Jet strats for EBC, using the E-Tank, back to Rush Jet. Not able to get the job done entirely on Rush Jet, but no problem. You can still shoot your Buster Cannon while in Rush Jet form, even when the energy's out. Now he switched over to Sakugarne. The Pogo Stick of Doom. And hopefully he is able to avoid the soft lock. And there you see the right side of the screen. Gotta be careful. And there it is. Okay, so no soft lock for EBC. But it is Rave Tuba out to a pretty commanding lead now after the events that have befallen Gran and Hero. And showing that he knows his way around Super Mario Land 2. As we come up to the Star Song. That funky Star Song. An auto-scroller for the ages. EBC puts down Dr. Wily and breathes a deep sigh. Not of relief, but of disdain as he goes into Super Mario Land 2. A game he just does not care for. Surprising though that may be. Has a controller who has borne the brunt of his discomfort with this game. Meanwhile, Rave Tuba styling on this stage a little bit. Nate now making his way through the Wily stage. Great music throughout Super Mario Land 2. Yeah, we joke about Mega Man 2. I enjoy the music, but I know most people don't. But this game, I don't think anyone could have a problem with this music. My goodness. Especially this song, but just in general, I think they did a really good job with putting together a soundtrack that plays well to the hardware and to the game as well. Oh, he just barely gets at stars. That's going to allow him a little bit easier passage through these stars. These stars are bad. They don't give you invincibility. The star he picked up does. It's all a little bit confusing. Too many stars. There we go. On to Tanga, I believe. The final boss from the first Super Mario Land game. And that is it for the space stage for Rave Tuba. Holding on to that lead here. And something real nasty is going to happen to him at this point. It's looking like. But we still have plenty of game to go. On our finale of the Tiny 10 Remix, Super Mario Land 2. Bald Nate looking to join them in just a moment, fighting Wily Form 2. So what RaveTuba has done here is he's taken an alternate route through the macro zone, stage 1, and that's going to allow him to get to the boss stage a little bit faster. He's got to go through an auto-scroller here, but avoids a couple extra stages. Nice little time save. We've got Bald Nate just starting out. EBC making his way through the tree zone. Gonna go to that ant side. It is faster than the bird side. You can actually get through the stage exceptionally quickly. Grand Hero making his way through the space zone. And RaveTuba about to close out Macro Zone for his third coin. The halfway point of this game. Sort of. I don't know if that bears out time-wise, but of what you need to do to get to the final stage. That's the halfway point. These runners have just flown through these games today. There's definitely been a couple hiccups along the way for some folks, but RaveTuba, and aside from that one issue for Grand Hero, have just really shown that their hard work and dedication is paying off. RaveTuba, having participated in some of these events in the past, had that nice advantage, but, I mean, look at that kill on the rat right there. No problem whatsoever. Gets the 3 hits immediately, as you should do, and gets his third coin. But it's great to see everyone come together on race day and put in a nice effort and really showcase all these great games and their abilities at them. So congratulations to all of our runners, regardless of where you place. It's been a hell of a lot of fun to watch you, not just race today, but practice and get ready for this race. And we thank you all for your participation, and all of you watching along with us on RGL TV. It's been a lot of fun putting this event on. And we'll certainly be doing one again in the future. Nate choosing to get the bonus stage there. Probably just wants to farm a few extra lives. Now you see him having those strats to get the extra life. No problem. He's making his way up the tree zone. EBC getting ready to close out the tree zone. 3 jumps on this boss's head and we're done. Grand Hero's getting a little funky with that star song. And RaveTuba onto the pumpkin zone. Wow, and as is pointed out by Oh Dear in chat, a great world record holder of Super Mario Land 2, in fact. RaveTuba is on PB pace right now by 5 minutes. That is incredible. And, it's always great to learn these games and to put up a nice time in your practice, but if you can PB on race day, that's an excellent feeling. That just shows the level of preparedness, both mentally and with the knowledge of the game, that really goes above and beyond. Still a lot of game to go. You never know what might happen, but this is very clearly a game that RaveTuba knows very well. yeah, if you're going to PB, you want to do it on race day for sure. We'll see what happens. Grand and Hero getting the final hit on Tatanga. Done with the Space Zone. EBC getting ready to hear his favorite song. And Bald Nate making his way up the tree. Looks like he has gone the bird route rather than the ant route. Or the bee route, I guess. It's a bird route or bee? I guess it's a bee route. I see a lot of bees. I don't see a lot of birds. Not as familiar with this route. So, pardon me. And RaveTuber just showing off those skills of Super Mario Land 2 right now. Flying through this final stage in the Pumpkin Zone. And now it is on to the boss. The Witch! And this Witch will not be any problem for RaveTuber. 3 hits and we're done. Just like with all of the bosses. I guess the one exception would be Wario, but each of his forms only takes 3 hits. And there she goes. Macro Zone and... I don't know the name of the underwater zone. Macro Zone and... or Mario Zone. Mario Zone. Macro Zone was the house. Mario Zone and the underwater one are all that is left for RaveTuber in collecting these 6 golden coins. Then we'll be on to Wario's Castle. Turtle Zone. I guess that makes sense. Bald Nate closing out the tree zone, getting his first coin. EBC listening to that Funky Star song. And Grand and Hero going through that alternate route in the macro zone, saving himself a little bit of time. Onto the final stage there. Nate making his way up to get to the space zone. You do have to travel up to a higher exit. So if you do lose your bubble, you can find yourself in a really bad position to get to the space zone. Instead, you will find yourself out in front of, I believe, the pumpkin zone. That's not ideal. Nate grabbing himself another heart as Grand and Hero closes out the macro zone. And EBC is beginning the macro zone, so we got a little bit of a tightening, it looks like, between EBC and Grand and Hero. We'll see how this one plays out. But RaveTuber is doing RaveTuber things right now, showing why he is top 10 at Super Mario Land 2. It's one thing to get through this game, but it's another to have down all the spots where you can take your hits, all the spots where you can get your power-ups back, and to just rush through as quickly as he is. Just super impressive showing from RaveTube, as it has been all throughout the day. The education and hard work is coming to pass right now, and he is showing off why he is one of the premier Game Boy runners. Everybody say hi to the octopus. Well, you missed your chance. Sorry. Oh, an EBC! Oh, the controller may be breaking, folks. EBC has taken a death in Super Mario Land 2. Just lingered a moment between that death and getting back into the stage. I assume he had a couple choice words to mutter at that point. There's the Grand Hero getting himself the carrot, getting those bunny ears back, going through the pumpkin zone, and getting the star. Now, after you kill 5 enemies in a row, all of the enemies that you kill will give you a 1-up. So he's going to be able to get 2 or 3 1-ups here before the end of this stage. A nice little prize to take with you. Now you got 10 lives, says Hero. More than enough, it looks like, that he'll need. And Tuba is just flying right now. Spikes, who cares? I'll run through those spikes. There's a nice thing in this game. Well, it's a double-edged sword, I suppose. When you take damage, you don't get knocked back, but also sometimes it looks like maybe you shouldn't be taking damage in different situations, and you don't necessarily get that feedback. You just start to lose your either your power-up or your life, depending on your situation. And no problem for Rave 2, but look at that. Just literally flying to the end of the stage. So Rave 2 picking up that fire flower there. She will be using on the 3 little pigs. Oh no, 3 little pigs were a previous stage. This is this. Oh no, he is doing Mario Zone, and said right. We went over this already because he wanted to have the ears in the turtle zone. It's been a long race. Nah, it actually hasn't been that long. It's 2 hours 11 minutes. Pretty quick. It's one of the benefits of doing 10 Game Boy games. Get you in, get you out, although this is, of course, the longest game on the list. And it turns out that RaveTube, as we've said so many times, has strats and knowledge and abilities at this game that some people do not possess. So he fooled me a little bit there. But now we see he's going up to the 3 little pigs, going to be using those fireballs, fry himself some bacon, and head on over to Wario's Castle. Look at that. Look, making the quick work of the pigs there. No problem for RaveTube. The first one got a little squirrely on him, put him down, fried up the rest. And there is the 6th gold coin. And that'll open the door you see right in front of you. And it's all over but the singing for RaveTube. EBC now, looking to close out the macro zone. Corinne and Hero flying over this first stage of Turtle Zone, if I'm not terribly mistaken. I may be. Bald Nate, he's got himself a Fire Flower, gonna go the alternate route through the Macro Zone himself. Trying to keep pace with EBC. But it is Rave Tuba now, who's looking to slide across that finish line and take the first place in the Tiny 10 remix. And once again, you see him just running headlong through these enemies, not worrying about it one iota. Jumping past this fireball, excuse me, from the Piranha Plant. It says pickups. We don't need no stinking pickups. Let's get on to these moving platforms. There's one platform in particular here that you have to time out. But look at that. Oh, the smart strat scrolls the screen over a little bit by bumping it up against that wall. Gets it ready for himself. Now here, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but there are certain segments of the tiles that will drop down fists onto your head. He avoids those. He gets over the lava section with no problem. Rave Tuba making it look insanely easy right now. Gets the big mushroom there. And now he's just going to be able, if he wants to, he can run across almost all of these platforms. It may be a little bit faster to jump, as I'm guessing why he's doing that, since it is not entirely necessary. Only one jump necessary for that room, believe it or not. Gonna run past these smashers, not thwomps, and get onto the Wario faces. And wow, he not only does he get the spinning kill, but gets the star for his efforts. Picks up the Fire Flower with the spinning jump, and now it is on to Wario himself. 3 forms of Wario. You got Standard Wario. All 3 forms, well, I guess only the first 2, actually, are going to land and try to drop those glass balls onto your head. But here we have second form. Wario could fly around a little bit. No big deal. So I got the power-ups. Look at that. Not wasting any time. He puts down Wario immediately on rabbit form, and once again for Fireflower form, and there is your winner, folks. Rave Tuba, with a time of 2 hours and 14 minutes and 59 seconds. We don't know how much of a PB it was. All told, I don't, off the top of my head. Chat will fill us in, but that is around a 5-minute PB. Amazing job from Rave Tuba. All of the GGs on a great race. Closing it out strong with his best game, I would hazard to say. And Rave Tuba is your winner. A 6-minute PB. We have it for Rave Tuba. What an amazing job out of him to come strong on race day, leave it all out there, and just really dominate these 10 games. Awesome job from Rave Tuba. Congratulations! You are the Tiny 10 Remix champion. And now it's down to Grandin Hero. Will he take second place here? Can EBC catch up? Can Bald Nate pull ahead of EBC? A lot of iron still in the fire here for this race, folks. Plenty more race action for you. As Grandin Hero now trying to recover from the soft lock in Mega Man 2 to take second place in this race. We will see what happens. Now we see Mo joining us on the screen. The man behind all the Tiny 10 races. On our final game here, Super Mario Land 2. Nate going out of his way. He looked like he was going to go get that checkpoint, then decided against it. Tripped himself up just a little bit, but no harm done. Only a couple of seconds of time loss. Now, Gran and Hero jumping over that toy soldier. Come to find out, amongst the Game Boy community, a lot of folks think that toy soldier, or the toy soldiers in this stage, look like ducks, which is not something I'd ever previously considered, but I'll leave it up to you, chat, to decide whether or not they are ducks or toy soldiers, even though they're very obviously toy soldiers. Not that I'm leading the witness, but you should say they're toy soldiers. Unless you want to be wrong. That's fine. I do like that there are some diplomatic people who are saying that they are soldier ducks. That I appreciate that answer, but it's wrong. they're toy soldiers, dang it. No, I'm just joking. But it never crossed my mind that they look like ducks, and I see where people are coming from when they say they look like ducks. But I respectfully, I disagree. I think they look like toy soldiers. I believe that is what they were going for. But who knows? These wacky Game Boy games. They could be pigs. As you see, Gran and Hero taking on the three little pigs here. I don't know that it's that people didn't play with toy soldiers as a kid. I think it may just be that they played with toy ducks as a kid. So Mo now... Oh, he already got... I think he might have already had... He took a hit, and now he's in a position where he didn't have the Super Mario Mushroom, but that's okay because he got himself the bunny ears here. He's going to want to switch over to the Fire Flower, which he's going to have an opportunity to do here in just a moment, because that's going to allow him to skip through much of the macro zone, as we've seen so many runners do. Oh, and he's going to get that Fire Flower right there. Saw EBC take a death to that earlier. Not so for Mo, at least not at this point. A little bit faster than going across the raft to get that Fire Flower. And there we see Mo getting that special exit. So up he goes into the macro zone. Auto-scroller for him. Bald Nate now. Continuing on. But oh, Gran and Hero is on to Wario's Castle. Making his way through. The hard part is over. Now it's just a matter of not taking those hits. See if he knows about the star strat. And indeed he does. Oh, but he doesn't get the star. Those spin jumps are working to his advantage. Only has to get one hit this way instead of two. And he is just ripping and running through these Wario faces. Already has the Fire Flower, doesn't need it. And it is Wario time, folks. First of three forms. Takes a hit right there. Doesn't matter. He's going to be able to get a carrot at the end of this form. There he goes. There's the carrot. And it's on to Bunny Ears Wario. And yes, as Oh Dear points out, you need 99 kills. You see that right now, Granite Hero only has 72, so a little bit short there. Updates from the world record holder, folks. Now we all know. And there it is! The final hit is in, and Granite Hero taking that second place victory. A time of 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 17 seconds. Just a couple minutes off of his PB. No doubt, almost entirely because, if not always, entirely because of that mishap in Mega Man 2. That soft lock. But Granite Hero is not to be denied his second place finish. And a great job all the way through by him. And now we have Huxley coming up to take his place on the screen. But congratulations to Granite Hero. A tough-fought second place position for you. Really well done throughout the entire race. Not enough good things you can say about the job Granite Hero did today. Especially having to deal with that Mega Man 2 nonsense. But now he doesn't have to deal with that nonsense no mo. Because he is done. Second place. Mo now taking care of the rat. Huxley also on the rat. Mo now getting up to the space zone. The fifth coin is acquired for Nate. Just one more. That being the turtle coin. And he'll be going on to Wario's Castle. All right, Nate grabbing himself a carrot there. Huxley making his way through the pumpkin zone. EBC now dealing with this water on the turtle zone. And Mo actually going for his final key while listening to some funky star song. Or final key, excuse me, final coin. Whatever the thing is you gotta get in the game. You know what it is. So there he is, fighting to... I believe this is actually his last one. I believe he went in a little bit of a different order. Very wisely ducking underneath of the shots that travel after you. Getting 2 hits in with the fireball. 2 more jumps. Oh, he has to get 3 jumps. Not enough hits with those fireballs. And that'll do it. And I believe that is the last coin for Mo. And yes, indeed, it is. It is Wario Castle time for the founder of the feast, the man behind all of the Tiny Tens. Let me see, we switched over to Ariel's screen as he is making his way through the pumpkin zone. It looks like he was doing some farming there, maybe. And now he's gonna play the slot machine, it looks like. He figures, you know, I have these coins. Can't take them with me out of this game. Might as well load up. Now, of course, the Wario Castle is the nastiest section of this game. It's claimed many a run throughout the race practice. You can take it safe, you can take it quick. You can take a hit, you can die. It all goes down just as easily. EBC putting down the octopus. That fire flower. All right. Joining us at this time is the champion of the day, the winner of the Tiny Ten Remix, Rave Tuba himself. Rave, congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, now I'm overwhelmed the way you put it. Well, I'm happy. I was just actually talking to Gran in the second place, and you pushed me. So
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I was just a little bit out of the scene, but I'm very happy to have participated on this. It's only my second Tiny Ten, so I'm really happy to be here.
Which other Tiny Ten did you participate in?
Oh, Tiny Ten 6.
Oh, wonderful! So you were just kind of getting into the Tiny Tens now, and What do you think? I mean, you had this race, some of the classic games from the previous list. You had the Tiny 10 6 list, another fine list. They're all great lists, really. How are you feeling about doing futures of these events?
Oh, 100%. I really want to always to continue with this. This like routine of learning games and like then putting them together into a huge run is really what I want to keep on doing.
Awesome.
But
well, yeah, I know.
Sorry about these games, that they're really good. Trip World and even the more annoying ones like Kid Nicky and Tailspin. Those games are annoying, but they're still good games. It was such a good list.
I'm glad people seem to like them and seem to be able to suffer through the Kid Nickies of the list and still enjoy like the majority of them. That made me really happy because it's fortunately we had a really easy job picking out 10 games from previous Tiny 10s because they're just jam-packed with awesome games. I mean, the Game Boy is so flush with awesome video games. But we're about to have a finish right here. Let's get this finisher in. Our third place is going to go to Mo, the man behind the Tiny 10s. Takes down Wario, and he's going to slide into third place with a time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 12 seconds. So congratulations to Mo. Job well done. Taking the castle back. And, man, we wouldn't even be here without Mo, so congratulations, man.
Indeed, I have a big thanks for him. He was the one who reached out to me and talked to me about Tiny 10 6, and then he is who placed me here today.
So, what was your background? I mean, I assume you were doing some Game Boy running before the Tiny 10 came about, and that's why he reached out to you? Is that how it went?
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it was Super Mario Land 2. And
right.
It's really the only game I ever speedrun before Tiny 10, on the Game Boy at least.
Right.
So, I really started my collection of Game Boy games with this.
Well, that's a heck of a one to start with, that's for sure. I mean, definitely a classic. Despite what some people may say, and one of the all-time classic Game Boy games, for sure.
But honestly, Tiny 10 6 was such a rough list of games.
Oh, yeah?
They were all complete games.
Right.
And make Dr. Wily's Revenge. Ugh.
That is a tough one, yeah, for sure. That's quite a bit more difficult than Mega Man 2, would you say?
Certainly. Oh boy. Just the first stage, the difference between Cutman and Clashman, I think. Oh my! Just doing those two bosses with just a pea shooter, it's just crazy difficulty, like spike or difference.
Yeah, it sure is. So yeah, so I'm glad. Well, I'm very glad to hear that you enjoyed these games, and I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you were paying attention to the race while you were racing, or if you were kind of in I don't know.
Completely blind, but
well, there you go. Okay, so you're blind to all the results, but okay, so then that takes care of that question because I didn't know if you knew what happened with Granin, but you guys were pretty close to one another, and he got the Mega Man 2 soft lock. So yeah, our hearts all went out to him. That really sucks that garbage happened, but he was a trooper, got right back into it, and made the best out of it. But
I really wonder with a 10-minute difference. I mean, it could have been a very tight race if you didn't have that.
Yeah, I believe he was starting Dr. Wily as you were finishing Dr. Wily. So, obviously, with your background with Super Mario Land 2, may not have made much of a difference, but, I was happy to see that he still finished in second place, because that's just a crappy thing to have happen.
I really wish... I'm really curious to see what Granin did with Super Mario Land 2, because that...
He did a hell of a job, is what he did. Like, a little bit different strats than you might have employed, but, it did really strong showing all over.
Actually, talking about him, I wonder if we could pull him in.
We sure are, yeah. No better time than the present, right? So we are going to be joined now by our second place finisher, Mr. Granin Hero. And first of all, congratulations on your second place finish. I know there was a little bit of an issue that did not go the way you wanted it to, but hell of a race overall, even with that nonsense happening.
Yeah, that was hella fun. It was so much fun, and I'm so glad that Rave Tuba crushed me. Because if he would have won with a couple of minutes, that soft lock on Wily would have sucked really hard.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. Anyway, and hey, real quick, updating. We have a fourth place finisher. Mo finished at third place, but shortly thereafter, it's Bald Nate coming in fourth place with a time of 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 28 seconds. Congratulations to Bald Nate for taking fourth place here in the Tiny 10 Remix.
Congrats.
So yeah, we're joined here by our top 2 finishers. We got Rave Tuba and Grandin Hero. So the number one question for you, Grandin, is what the heck were you thinking when you got that soft lock?
I was like, because the strange thing was, I ran out of that Queen's weapon. And I think that never had happened to me. And I knew I couldn't kill Wily on the right side, but that sucker, he dies before his life bar is over.
Yep,
and
he sure does.
I noticed that a couple of pixels were in the right side of the screen, and I was, no, this isn't happening, And I was so lucky that I actually wrote up a code, so I knew it could happen. I had a code ready on a paper. But yeah, shit happens.
And the fact that just before the run started, we were just like skimming through the little notes that we had, and we actually talked a bit about Dr. Wily and how to prevent the soft lock. I'm so sad about that.
Yeah, but then again, I'm so happy you crushed me. If you have 1 to 2 minutes, that would be heartbreak.
Oh yeah, that would. Well, so were you on PB pace prior to that happening, Grandin, or was that not the factor? Because you're pretty close to your PB at least.
Yeah, I had 3 gold splits in 3 for 11 Spirit Kirby. Then I was on a 1 minute 46 seconds PB, and then I gold split on Mario as well. So yeah, that would have been a PB for me. But I'm happy. I was hoping to have a 2-hour, 25-minute run at the most in the competition. So I'm really happy with my result.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you crushed that officially and unofficially. You really crushed that because you had to play a little bit extra Mega Man too. But as we were talking, we had our 5th place finisher. So congratulations to Bloody Candy, getting his way through Super Mario Land 2 for the 2nd time in a marathon, which we know he hates, but all praise to him for gutting it out, finishing up the game and the entire Tiny 10 remix with a time of 2 hours, 39 minutes, and 23 seconds. Awesome job from him. Congratulations again, EBC.
That's our 3rd team member hitting the goal line.
Yeah.
The Game Boy team.
That's right. I mean, it's been such a treat to see all the Game Boy folks come out and support this thing. In all honesty, I wanted to put a race like this together because I only found out about the Tiny 10 really for Tiny 10 number 5, and I had so much fun playing all of those games. Again, even the ones that kind of frustrated me. That I was like, I need an excuse to play some of these other games that were on previous lists. So, God bless Mo. I mean, I was like, hey Mo, what if we did this thing? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, there was no pushback, no nothing. He's like, yeah, more Game Boy is good. So, I just can't say enough nice things about Mo. For not only, doing so much to build up the Game Boy community, but for letting us put on this race and giving us his blessing. That's awesome. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you had a great run overall, Grandin. I mean, it was just top to bottom, just really strong play, and like you said, you got all those golds along the way. So that misfortune really sucks, and we were all very angry at Mega Man 2 on your behalf. I can assure you. But yeah, it was great to see you jump right back in and just say, "Ah, the hell with this. I'm still gonna, hold my own."
Yeah, I did a good Mario run. It was a gold. So.
Yeah, it was a great Mario. I mean, we could tell. I think that you maybe not like the game that you focus your most time on, but just an awesome job of just rushing right through it. And that's huge on a game that's as long as this. You can lose a lot of time on this one.
Yeah, and I told Ray too, but we were in the same voice channel before we got in this channel. I've actually fallen in love with Super Mario Land 2 during the practice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
It's a great speed game. It's a great speed game.
So is that one you think you're gonna be focusing some time on coming out of this?
I know me and EBC, we maybe got some Castlevania Legends planned.
Well, I can tell you he's not gonna play Super Mario Land 2. So. But that's cool. All right, and Ray, for you is I knew obviously you already played Super Mario Land 2. Is there anything off of this list that you're thinking like, okay, time to put some effort into this one?
I've already done that, and I don't feel that spirit anymore.
Okay.
I do have a game in mind that's not Game Boy, but
oh yeah.
I honestly already did what you asked me with Kid Nicky, with Kung Fu Master. With Triple, so suddenly I really got my PBs as best as I really could get them.
Oh, that's awesome.
but I'll delve into a Nintendo DS game, which is called The World Ends With You. I
Oh,
think.
sure, yeah.
But that's a 4-hour speedrun, and I never with Resident Evil 5, which is the longest game I ever speedrun. That's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to 4 hours. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's a step up, isn't it?
It really is. It's almost the whole marathon. I mean, it's almost twice the marathon.
Yeah, that's a tough way to put it, isn't it?
Yeah. But I might not go straight ahead. Maybe I'm still playing it casually, so it's gonna be fun. Oh, but there is a Game Boy game that was because I'm also in another group called Speedruns Weekly. They do all sorts of consoles, and the last one was actually Trip World, so that's why I participated.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, it's such a fun game.
Indeed. And on the list of possible next games, there was a Game Boy game called Tail Croc, which is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's basically just a side-scroller where you're stuck in a room and you have to open like a number of chests, and the last one is always a key that lets you get into another room. Shaq Fu is like, someone just in the chat just said Shaq Fu.
Yeah, someone. We don't know who in chat would have said something about Shaq Fu.
No.
But someone did. Won't say their name to advance their agenda.
Oh boy. But yeah, I might just try to look for more Game Boy games at this point, and I'll leave these ones behind.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And we should say congratulations to Granny Hero as well for getting the Tailspin world record as part of your practice for this.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much.
It's really cool. So you got that world record, and then Huxley got the world record in Kung Fu Master during this. So that's always a treat to see people going real hard at the games and taking those world records for their own. So congratulations to you again.
What time was the world record?
For Tailspin.
Yes, indeed.
8 minutes 35 seconds. I think it was 3 seconds faster.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and 3 seconds faster than Zyman, we should point out, who had previously topped H-Roz, which is like the level of progression there. That is like no mean feat by any means. That is like the top of the top when it comes to Game Boy in first, and then Tailspin in particular with Zyman. So a serious job of taking that world record there. So congratulations again, Granon.
Thanks.
And it looks like we're about to have our 6th place finisher officially crossing the line here. You see the upper left of your screen. Ariel is now on the final form of Wario. He's got his wing, or his ears. And there's the 3rd hit. And that'll do it. Ariel coming across that finish line in 6th place with a time of 2 hours, 45 minutes, and 51 seconds.
That's awesome.
So congratulations to Ariel. Job well done. I know he's one of our strong performers, and looked like he may have had a little bit of a couple of rough patches along the way based on where his PB was at a couple days ago. But, you know, I'm sure I don't got to tell you guys, once you get into that race, it's a little bit of a different mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. But honestly, yeah, I saw Ariel as a contender because I didn't see too many like times from other runners. And Ariel was someone that contacted me, and we talked about training. And he had a 2 hours 37 PB.
Right.
Back in the time where I
dropped like
was
50
at the
minutes
same
on the last day. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats to him finishing in 6th place.
Yeah, and I have to give a big shout out to the entire Game Boy community. I'm no speedrunner. This is my first race ever.
Can't say that anymore. No, sir.
And everyone.
You're bona fide. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Everyone has been so friendly. I mean, Huxley did a Kung Fu Master tutorial. Simon did a Tailspin tutorial and lost the VR thanks to it. Ibla Candy have helped me a ton. Mo has helped me. Legs has helped me. Everyone in the Game Boy community. Oh dear, helped me. It's great coming from nowhere and just getting so much help.
Absolutely.
People ain't afraid to give out strats. They want to have a even race, and it's great. I want to thank the entire Game Boy community.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a great community of folks.
Very happy to hear that.
Right there, we just saw our 7th place finisher close it out. Huxney with a time of 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 38 seconds. So congratulations to Huxney on finishing up the Tiny 10 remix.
Actually, if something I could say, I'm very happy to see these numbers come down, because on Tiny 10.6, I finished in second with 30 minutes difference, and the third place with 2 hours difference.
Oh man, wow.
So, considering that everybody is still like 30 minutes within each other, and we're already at the 7th place, that's really fine.
Yeah, honestly, I saw. I guess I missed all of your PBs, Rafe Tuba, because I was like, well, I think Grandin's got the lowest time right now. Although I know you got a 6-minute PB today, so that's a huge accomplishment as well. On race day getting that PB. I was like, I think Grandin is maybe the favorite here with a 2:20, and then we'll kind of see how it goes from there. I know a couple people have been dropping their times, and then we kind of had a pretty big shakeup on race day. I feel like from what my expectations were, which I mean that's what you want. That shows that people were working at it, even if they weren't necessarily advertising that they were working at it. So that makes me happy.
I'm a little bit to blame about that, because the moment the Tiny 10 remix was announced, I started practicing the individual games and started putting runs together, and then my university work just came about, and I almost didn't practice for this last month of February.
Wow, and you still that's.
But I came back to it to practice some games like about 2 weeks ago, and I actually had a 2 hour 20 minute as my PB before this run. So we were on the same mark then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and you've both finished top 2, so I guess that all bore itself out.
Yeah, I played more or less every day, at least one game for like an hour or two. I really went all in the practice. I've been streaming it on my stream as well, the practice on the weekends and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and there you see that hard work paying off for all you folks watching at home. The top 2 put in that effort and got the results. So, yeah, congratulations again, guys. Awesome show, and we look forward to the next one. Whether I think the Tiny 10 number 7 is going to be happening long before another Tiny 10 remix, but we're definitely looking to do another one of these. And we definitely hope you participate, and all of you watching as well, if you want to get in on this. Yeah, you heard it from your top 2. This is the race to do.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, same here.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. We'll get you out of here. Go enjoy your first and second places, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye. And bye to everyone who's watching still.
Hey, Ariel.
Alrighty.
Thanks for the good luck.
I want to see if we can get our 3rd place finisher in here. He does not know about this. It's great to see all the folks talking in race chat about like what went right, what went wrong. And we'll try to bring you guys some of that information as we go on. But you see here, we got some folks making their way through Super Mario Land 2 Infinite Mystery, getting onto the Space Zone Dog Developer, maybe a little bit ahead of him on Pumpkin Zone. Not really sure what route he's taken to this point. Les Ness is on Ninja Gaiden Shadow, which will put him a game ahead of Sprinting Legs, who is on Kid Nicky. And right now we're going to bring in the founder of the feast, the man behind the Tiny Tens, our 3rd place finisher, Mr. Mo is joining us. And Mo, first of all, congratulations on your 3rd place finish.
Thank you very much. I was totally not expecting it.
Yeah, you talked a lot about how you didn't necessarily put in a ton of work to get to this point. But,
definitely not, no.
But you do have the great advantage of having played all of these games before, I trust, because of who you are in the Game Boy, and of course having presided over races, including all of these games in the past.
Yeah, that's definitely something that helps a lot. Like, this is the first time I'm actually participating myself in any of these.
Are you serious? This is the first Tiny 10 you've done?
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally serious.
Oh my goodness.
I also, do a showcase stream where I do basically the same as I did now, where I put in almost no practice and just showcase the games a little bit. Usually ending in me quitting after 5 games because I get so mad because I get stuck on something. Yeah, now I I kept going. So.
Well, you
Yeah,
can't be
this
mad
was
about your
my
finish in
first.
this one. I mean, just over 2.5 hours, really strong time. Man, can't say enough about the job you did. Want to talk a little bit about really the upcoming Tiny 10, as well as how you feel this shook out, since this was a little bit different from what you're used to. So I guess first of all, what's going on with Tiny 10 number 7? When can folks look forward to that?
Well, we're still basically researching a lot of the games. We have 5 set in stone right now, although set in stone is also something that can still change. But I'll try and bring up the list while I'm talking here. And I think we're gonna do it during May or at the start of June or something. April is a very busy month for myself. Like, it's Easter in the first week, which always comes with a celebration in my village, so I'll be gone for a week. My birthday is at the end of the month, so I don't think I'll have time to actually do that then. So yeah, it's probably gonna be either the end of May or start of June.
Okay, so there you go, folks. Set your calendars up now. Put a hold on a couple weekends in that time period, because Tiny 10 number 7 coming at you before you might think it will be. End of May, early June. That's going to get here
Yeah, I
very
hope to
fast.
finish the list at least by the end of this month, so
Awesome.
I'm gonna have to put on a lot of research, because the problem is, like, these games were all the full games. That's very hard to do, because a lot of the Game Boy games are either too long, at least for a marathon setting, if you want to do a full game, or they're too hard to actually put in there, because a lot of people like me do not put in practice when trying to do these games, and they would be brutal blinds. And that's kind of happened what we did with last Tiny 10, where we tried to put in a lot of games where you really had to practice, and we only had 6 or 8 runners instead of 18. The Tiny 10 before that, so I'm trying to move from that again for sure.
Oh, so that gives everyone a little bit of an insight into the process that goes into picking the games. But another interesting aspect of it, I find, is that as compared to some other races, you have a very open community aspect about figuring out what games are going to go onto the list. So was that always something that you wanted to do, or did that just kind of come about because it made your job easier, or how did that come about? Because I think that's a really cool way of bringing the community into it and getting them more excited about what is going on with these races.
Yeah, when we first started, the Game community was not really big or anything. It was just me and a few other streamers just playing Game Boy games for fun. And I think the first Big 20 happens, or just did happen, and one of my followers in chats just made a joke about, why don't you do a Game Boy marathon? And then I started looking into it, found a lot of great games that we could actually put into, and it just moved on from there. After Tiny 10 1, we kind of made the Game Boy Discord. A lot of people started joining that. A lot of people started putting work into different games that were never run before. Most of the games that have been in Tiny 10s are all games that I originally routed and such, and it's always great to see how much people can improve on those games, putting a lot more effort into them than I do. So yeah, when the actual community got bigger, I started to ask a lot more input from people who were actually researching on their own, so it kind of evolved into that.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's always interesting to see the process play out in the Discord. For someone will make a suggestion, and then there will be pushback, and then there will be push forward, and then people will play the games, and then ultimately I think it's you who makes the decisions. after everyone's made their case. But it's always really cool to see the different games that get brought up and how people argue for and against them.
Yeah, for sure. It's always very fun to see the suggestions because, like, if there's one thing about the game mode community, it's that there's a lot of joking while doing it. Everybody starts to get like mad when you just see the text, but it's all just fun and games. It's just trying to discuss what would actually be a good game to put in a marathon like this. And speaking of that, Avenging Spirit is probably one of the worst games to put in a marathon.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like I already saw that when it was actually in Tiny 10. I think it was 5. I don't remember.
It was 5. That was the one that I did.
It was the last game in that. It's an incredible game. It's a very fun speed game even, but in a marathon setting, it's just so brutal. And I knew I was gonna get stuck on it during my race, so and it happened again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a game where when something goes wrong, it tends to become a complete dumpster fire very quickly. So you have to like completely limit all of your mistakes, which is really tough to do since you're basically made out of balsa wood in that game. You're so fragile. So yeah, once you lose the character that you have, it's like, well, we can either die or we can try to press on and probably still die but waste more time.
Yeah, so it's a hard bargain, especially in that final stage with Avenging Spirit. So
yeah.
I tried the first time I tried to do it safe, I totally messed up. Then I just couldn't get enough health anymore. Then 3 times my controller were just doing things that I did not even do. Like my character turned around completely every time during the boss fight. I was getting really mad at that game, but hey, at least after that everything went pretty okay, I guess. So
yeah, it seems like it. I mean,
is
third place time, you know. And so you're covered pretty well, but yeah, you and EBC had a back and forth of just nasty circumstances with that last boss fight. It's like, oh, it's so close! Oh no, 1 hit left, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see the highlight because I hadn't the stream wasn't on for me, so it's gonna be fun to like see what actually happened for the first 3 runners.
Right.
Completely. That's gonna be great. Anyways, I pulled up the list real quick of the 5 games we actually do have already set in stone. We have Jetsons Robot Panic. It's your basic platforming game. The world record right now in it is 10 minutes and 18 seconds. I estimate that it's gonna be a 14-minute game if you put in a little bit of practice. So it's a really easy one. The next one is I cannot pronounce this, but it's Sailor Moon R. There's 2 types of things you can do in that game. You can either play the RPG mode or you can play the arcade mode. And the arcade mode is literally a game that's just press right and jump. So that's a really easy one to put in there. The third one, I really do not know how to pronounce this game. This is another Japanese-only one. It's Kitaretsu Daiyaka Boken Ueda Jiraki, or something like that.
Well, everyone's familiar with that, so I don't think you need to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Who hasn't played Gezen, Rezen, Frezen, Bukaki?
It's just like, if people know Doraemon, it's kind of like that.
All right.
But it's the different character from the same author. So it's kind of like a robot with a samurai sword. It's really weird. Then we have a fun one. It's Motocross Maniacs.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's always fun to play. It's unlimited continues. It just finishes the levels as fast as you can. There's like 8 stages, I think. So that would be fun. And then we have a kind of weird one, because shmups are not always really popular in these things.
I disagree. You're speaking my language now, Mo.
But I put another one in called Battle Unit Zeot, which is probably the easiest shmup ever made. It's 5 stages, each maybe 2 minutes long. So it's a really fun one to do. The only problem in that game is if you die, you're gonna have a bad time. If you do not die at all, it's the easiest game in the world. So yeah, those are the 5 games that already have been picked.
Awesome. So if you're unfamiliar with them and you've watched this event and you've thought to yourself, boy, I'd like to maybe check out Future Race as well, there you go. You got the first 5 games you can start looking into. And if you already know them, then you got a leg up. So there you go. Everyone knows now what's going on. And of course, we should plug the Discord too. Everyone should check out the Game Boy community on Discord. I'll get a link out there for you in chat. But yeah, I mean, you're always looking to build the Game Boy community up for more folks. And it's, if you want to find out about more awesome Game Boy games, I tell you, this and the PC Engine are the two systems that, like, I'm just always stunned have this treasure trove of games. It's like one good game after another, all the way across. I have a hard time finding bad Game Boy games. I know they exist because enough people complain, but I've been treated to great ones through the Tiny 10 primarily. So shout outs to you and all the folks who help put the games together. But if you add the link to the Discord in chat right there, if you are interested in joining the Game Boy community on Discord, follow that link, and we'll see you in there. But Mo, thanks so much again. Right before I let you go, happy, sad, think there's room for improvement with the remix. We want to do something different next time.
I think this just went great. I think a lot of people were interested. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's gonna be hard to maybe do another one with all full games, though. So that may be a discussion we have later about like extending some of the previous goals out for something like this. But it'll be a while before we do another one of these. But I definitely think we'll be doing another one before all is said and done, because I had a great time, and it sounds like everyone had a great time. So as long as you're up for it, Mo, we'll certainly be looking to put this one together again. Yeah, for sure. Like, the only tip I can give is, like, what I always try to do is, because you're gonna pick, like, if you're still gonna pick other games from the other Tiny 10s, always try to get, like, an estimate of 3 hours in if you almost do not practice it, and like 2 hours to 2.5 hours if you really put in practice. That's usually what we go for, and that's a smart idea. That's probably the best thing to do. Yeah, it might end up working out similar to that. I felt like when I played through the games blind, or all but 2 of them were blind, and one of them was Avenging Spirit, and if you don't play that game for like 5 minutes, it might as well be blind. When I did that the first time, it was just over 4 hours. And so I felt like, okay, that's pretty good. Like, I think people would stomach a 4-hour blind playthrough of these games. But that was after we had come up with the list, so it just kind of worked out, fortunately, like that. Anything longer, and then it's starting to, get into that I am only territory. I am Infetti. They're the two who would do it, and other people would be quitting now. But so far so good with folks participating in this one and sticking it out. But that's a good point, to encourage blind races. In my mind, the Tiny 10 remix was really to encourage folks who had kind of been lapsed on the Tiny 10 in the past. Like, they've done previous editions, and then maybe like they had taken 1 or 2 off. But like, hey, you guys know all these games already, so like the burden on learning them is so much lower for you guys. But instead, we had a lot of folks that were new to this, which is like this whole other awesome thing that happened. So that's great. I'm really excited about that. And hopefully it'll bring more folks into Tiny 10 7 and future Tiny 10s as well. Hopefully, yeah. Promotion is always the biggest problem with these things because, again, the Game Up community is so small compared to like the NES community. Absolutely. So it's definitely hard to spread the word, although we do try. But everyone who can help with stuff like that is always welcome to let me know. Yeah, well, you definitely have a friend for the Game Boy community with us here at RGLTV. At least as long as I'm around, because I love the freaking Game Boy, and it needs more love. I'm hardly like the best advocate for it, but I can be a loud one at least. So as always, a loud one is sometimes better than a good one. Yeah, exactly. Thanks again, Mo. Thanks for letting us put this on, and thanks so much for racing. For congratulations on your finish, and thanks for all the good work you do in the Game Boy community. Thank you very much. And I'll be around in chat if people have any more questions. Awesome. Hit up Mo. Alrighty, folks. So it looks like we are coming up to another finish here. Dog Velper looking to close out
the final stage of Super Mario Land 2. He's going through Wario Castle. Had a little bit of a misstep while we were talking with Mo there. These platforms in this room, man, the crumbling platforms. It almost feels like Mario has some Crisco that he has to deal with on these platforms, getting slid around. A little bit of a pain in the butt, but Dog Developer gets over there this time, and that's, to my mind, that's the most difficult part of this final castle. But he's got a couple other things he's got to deal with, of course. Coming up this next room, can mostly run across these platforms. Only have to jump up on one of them, which is nice. It looks like he's just going to jump across. Which, I'm not sure. That might actually be faster than running across all the way. Because I believe we saw Granin Hero do that earlier. And, with the time that he put up in the game, that leads me to believe that may actually be a strat rather than, a lack of knowledge. Right there we go. We get the spin jump, but it did not kill him. So I don't know the details behind it. I'm sure O'Dear is already educating folks in chat about what is going on there. Maybe you have to shoot a fireball and do the jump at the same time. No, you get the spin jump there. I'm not really sure what happened that time on that first one, but no big deal. Makes his way through the second two. Got two more Wario faces here. And then it is on to the main event. Already has the Fire Flower, but picks it up for good measure. And now it is on to Wario himself. To me, this first form is the most difficult. It's because he's running constantly. The other ones, he's very obvious when he's going to stop and let you hit him. At least for that first hit. The subsequent hits don't matter as much. You can kind of set those up pretty easily off of the first hit. But now Dog grabs the carrot, gets his bunny ears. And now it is on to Bunny Wario. And here he is on the final form. And down goes Wario. Dog Developer sliding in at 8th place with a time of 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 21 seconds. Congratulations to Dog Developer, one of our friends who really started preparing for this past week. But a job well done for him, getting through all the games. And he has completed the Tiny 10 remix. Wario, Dog Developer sliding in at 8th place with a time of 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 21 seconds. Congratulations to Dog Developer, one of our friends who... Now it is IM who appears to be our front runner. Going forward, IM looks like he's finishing off. Oh, his 6th gold coin, but the squid, the octopus, the octosquid, gets his day in the sun. I am getting a kill on the octopus there. And he's got one more left to go. He knows to bypass the Mario zone in favor of the turtle zone to keep those rabbit ears. And now he's going to go back. So he has 5 of the 6 coins. So updating everyone, for the folks who are on screen, Les Ness making his way into the Clashman fight. 0 lives, 1 energy tank. I'd be very diligent watching his health. Clashman can definitely eat it away very quickly. Glitchless on the barrel boss. Gotta get right up into his face and do a lot of damage. Oh, doing the flips. This is a strategy that I discovered was pretty darn effective. I don't know that it's the fastest, but it works. And it works for Glitchless up in your upper right-hand corner. Sprinting legs now, working through Kid Nicky. And meanwhile, Sprinting Legs is on the final boss of Kid Nicky, but takes the game over there. Only the first game over, though. Still had 5 continues, so that's nice. And does get to start on stage 4-3. Now, it has to start at the beginning of 4-3 rather than the checkpoint, but that's okay. I am flying over those spikes there, making his way up the Mario zone. And Glitchless dealing with stage 3, flamethrower boss. Down to 0 lives. Do have 5 continues in this game. Should be plenty. But some of these bosses can be certainly more difficult than others. And this boss is high on that list. Oh, Glitchless in a bad spot, but trying to work this one out. And gets the job done! That was not the way that you want to ideally have to deal with the flamethrower boss. Was getting a lot of hits on Glitchless, but she was able to stick and move, get her flip kicks in while she could, and got the boss down. Really well done. So there goes Legs again. Coming up to this final boss. I hope it's 5 or 6 hits you need to get. I think Legs has this boss down in such a way that they're comfortable with. Although you can do it quite a bit faster. Sometimes safe strats are the order of the day. And it looks like Legs has got themselves a very nice routine here. We'll see if they can hang on to this one. There is no... Oh, I guess there is a time limit, but it might as well be infinite, because it's not going to take that long. Another hit there. Just taking those hits on the mid jump, and only when going towards the left side of the screen. And that allows Legs to prepare for... Oh, there we go! The final hit is in, and Legs is done with Kid Nicky. And there we go. Legs closing out Kid Nicky. To my mind, the toughest game in the marathon. You might say Avenging Spirit, especially if you're blind for that. I totally understand that one. Not Ninja Gaiden Shadow, though. A lot of people would say, oh, Ninja Gaiden, that's going to be a tough one. It's not so bad. It's definitely not on that same level as the NES and, just the NES games. Or the Xbox games, but who cares about modern games? Bleh. So I am taking down the third little pig. We'll get his 6th coin, and now it's all over except for Wario's Castle. Ooh, and Les Ness getting magnetized into that pit, taking the game over, has to start back at the beginning of Magnet Man stage. Meanwhile, Legs ready to go here in Ninja Gaiden Shadow. Now I know Legs has put in just a little bit of preparation, getting a little bit familiar with the games, not putting in very much practice at all, which is a fun way to handle these events, as you heard Mo talk about. It's really nice to be able to complete an event like this blind, because not everyone has the time to put in to be super competitive in this. So we definitely don't want to discourage anyone from coming in with limited or no practice from these events going forward. But Legs is in that situation, and so it'll be interesting to see how Ninja Gaiden goes, because it is a game that can psych you out. But when you really get into it and get the play time in, just over the course of the one playthrough, even you start to say, okay, this isn't necessarily on that same level of difficulty as the NES games. That final boss, though, does ramp it up. I am now going through the room that I like to call the I Am room, because I learned how to do it from I Am. As you can see, he just ran over all but one of the platforms in that screen. Now makes it to the Smasher screen. Just run across, ignore them all. We'll see how he handles these Wario faces. Looking for that spin jump. Oh, looks like he did not hold down for long enough. Shouts to Oh Dear for pointing that out earlier. The second wave is down. I Am loses his Fire Flower, but he can get it back after this. Ooh, unless he takes a hit there, which he did. So now he's going to be looking to get Super Mario back with that mushroom. And that should be okay. We'll see how it goes, but dealing with Form 1 Wario, really your main goal, in addition to attacking him, is to avoid the falling orb right there, as you see when Wario smashes down on the screen. But as long as I Am can do that, he's going to have a carrot waiting for him. And there you see, Form 1 is down. Well, it looks like Glitchless has reset Kung Fu Master. Do not believe that she ran out of continues that quickly. Saw her use one, but It looks like there's a reset issue. Oh, so I'm being informed now, in my attention being paid to IM's run, I believe Glitchless actually completed Kung Fu Master, so that would be why she is on this game. And yes, moving on now from Kung Fu Master over to Kid Nikki. And meanwhile, as that is going on, Infinite Mystery is closing out Super Mario Land 2 to finish off the Tiny 10 remix. Get himself a time of 3 hours, 23 minutes, and 29 seconds for 9th place. Congratulations to IM for finishing this one. One of the few games, or one of the few races that you will see IM enter, not blind, folks. Congratulations to him for that finish. All right, folks. So we've got 3 more competitors getting going here. It looks like IM has switched over to the other race that's going on today. Not Tiny 10, but I should know what it's called. But with that, we're actually going to wrap up our coverage of the Tiny 10 remix right here. Please support all of our runners by shooting them a follow. And really giving them that support that you've shown us all throughout the day in watching the Tiny 10 remix. We really appreciate all their time and effort that went into whether they are just doing the race or whether they practiced ahead of time. What an awesome community. It's been a great treat to host an event like this, to allow them to come together and race for you guys. So shout outs to Les Ness, Sprinting Legs, and Glitchless, all for doing this blind. Or very close to blind, not entirely blind. Glitchless is entirely blind, but Les Ness and Sprinting Legs very close to blind themselves. That's always a pretty tough pill to swallow for a big marathon race such as this, but they're doing a great job. So definitely keep track of them. I think right now we're going to send this over to our RGL compatriot Glitchless, who is making her way through Kid Nikki. That should be a heck of a thing to watch because this game blind is brutal. But you got Sprinting Legs as well as Les Ness that you can go check out. They're making their way through the games as well. So we all appreciate you so much for your support throughout this race and always here on RGL TV. Want to give a special shout out to our man behind the scenes handling all of the tech today, Mr. Concakes. Thank you so much for handling the restream.
And
I don't know, was that live?
yeah, I popped out just to say thank you to everybody.
And yeah, thank you all so much for supporting this. Congratulations again to all of our finishers today. Rave Tuba, first place, 2 hours and 14 minutes. Grannon Hero, second place. Suffering that soft lock on Mega Man 2 with a time of 2 hours, 24 minutes, 17 seconds. Third place, Mo, 2 hours, 34 minutes. Fourth place, Bald Nate, 2 hours, 37. Fifth place, E Bloody Candy, 2 hours, 39 minutes. Sixth place, Ariel, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Huxney coming in at 7th, 2 hours, 47 minutes. Dog Developer in 8th place, 3 hours and 10 minutes. And our 9th place finisher, Infinite Mystery, 3 hours and 23 minutes. Congratulations to everyone who's completed this. And go cheer on everyone who is still racing. We love all their dedication. They're all great folks. And with that, I think we're going to end our coverage today. Give everyone a follow. Be nice to one another. We'll see y'all with more RGL tomorrow. Maybe later today. I'm not entirely sure. Definitely tomorrow. And we will have more race announcements. Don't forget, March 17th, folks. Renegade One Night Only Tournament coming up soon. We got more and more events planned. And of course, if you haven't signed up yet for Retrothon, get those games in. Get those submissions. Open till March 17th. RGLTV.com. Hit it up. If you play retro games, that's the spot to be at. All right, guys.